It's working out. You know, I'm a stickler for getting the camera angles just right, so bear with me while I zoom in and out. And you know, the zoom on here sucks. Oh my gosh. This is going to be tough. Anyway, if you missed this live stream, don't worry, because I plan on going live again August 19th, which is my birthday. And also, since my birthday is less than a week from now, you guys have less than a week to ask me how old I am and get a straight answer, because I'm probably not going to be telling people the truth. I'll be like, I'm in my 20s, and that's all I'm going to tell people. I don't think I'm going to tell my age anymore. Okay, let me try to figure this out. The zoom is like so drastic on here. I got my camera holder here, so it's hard for me to put my fingers in the right place. I'm going to be showing you some things NaziTube doesn't want you to see. But I have to be tactful about it, all right? So I can't just let it be the first video you see, you know. I gotta squeeze it in there and be mysterious. So I think I'm going to have to move this back a little bit more, yeah. Sorry, bear with me here. Almost done. Okay. I should try. Better. I don't know. We'll see. I might have to adjust it in the middle of the live stream. I hate when NaziTube deletes information. I hate when things are withheld that should be public knowledge. And it's not even stuff that I think is that serious either. You know, it's not like I got exclusive footage of, you know, an elite doing something they shouldn't be doing or whatever. Like, it's not even that serious. And yet NaziTube gave me 2 strikes. So I'm going to try to show you that. Well, no, I can't show you that footage yet because I don't have that uploaded anywhere. But I can show you some other stuff NaziTube won't let me show you. I can just get this camera angle set up. Alright. So, I think first I was going to show you something on NaziTube, and then I was going to go onto the internet. Okie doke. Now this, the first thing I'm going to show you, and I'm sorry if I sound like I'm out of breath or anything, I'm burning up. It's so hot here in Texas, man. Gosh. Woo. I put on like my choir robe and pajamas. So extra hot. I need to find my fan, jeez. I don't know where my fan is to fan myself. But anyway, the first thing I'm going to show you is part of something I'm going to re-upload later on, because I told someone I was going to have a compilation video with the Daily Wire people showing that they're frauds and everything. But this will be a part of that. Then I'm going to show you a little something something. And if there's any music in it, I'm going to have to mute it, because for some reason it's copyrighted, even though I think it's just a guy talking through it, so it's weird. Anyway. So let me know if it's too loud or anything. Bass Chad Thunderjaw. That is some name you got there, man. God bless you. That is some name. I love that name. Let me read it one more time. Based Chad Thunderjock. Just love the people. Okay. Where's the remote? Alright. I'm sorry if I adjust the camera a lot in the first hour. So, yeah, in about 20 minutes, I'm going to show you something pretty cool, and then risky stuff after like 20 minutes. But this is risky too, actually. I might get in trouble for this. As you can see, it's an unlisted video from a different channel of mine.
Somebody sent me this from the UK, and this is a really good example of controlled opposition. So basically this is about a former Olympian named Sharon Davies, who is this person here, played on the female swim team a long time ago. So this supposed female is complaining now that this trans cyclist is now playing on the women's team, slamming the trans cyclist as not female. Pictured left, competing as a man, and now right as Emily Bridges. is Sharon Davies on the left, competing on the female swim team, arguing against trans inclusion in women's sports. And we've seen this many times. There's people in the mass media who will speak out occasionally against men playing on the female team. But what they don't realize is that these people speaking out are also trans. They're also men, basically, men in drag. Yeah, you think that's a real woman? I mean, think what you want here, but see, look at the shoulders wider than the hips. It has a bit of a curve there, but men can have that as well. The waist on a man who's kind of in good shape is usually a ratio of 9 to 10. So the waist will be 90% as wide as the hips. On a man, the waist will be more narrow than the hips, but the shoulders will be the widest part of the body by far, at least an inch or 2, maybe 3 inches. Basically the width of that bone right there, width of the shoulder bone. Women just simply cannot have that low of body fat. And what fools people is they say, well, they're athletes, especially swimmers, yeah, a swimmer, male or female, will have more upper body strength, but, this ain't no woman. And I'm not really going to try to convince anybody, believe what you want to believe, but, if I can just plant the seeds of doubt, that's enough. So this is controlled opposition, right? We've seen this, oh, look at this one, crossing the legs. Yeah. Oh, it has a Q angle. Well, yeah, because it's crossing the legs. All right. So, I mean, we could go on. How many photos does it take? It shouldn't take too long to spot the androgyne. So look at the broad shoulders there, right? Yeah, come on. I mean, this area right here, the shoulder, that's impossible to be that muscular on a female, even a female athlete. So some skeptics would say, well, that's a biological female who's been taking male hormones. But the male hormones would not affect the bone structure. It's a tried and tested method. It's called forensic analysis. In fact, what we can do, because this is a swimmer, I think we can get some good shots. Yeah, see, look at this. Really, there's no female pelvis there at all. Long torso. So once you know what to look at, a lot of people just don't know what to look at, and they don't want to know, really. I don't spend too much time going around trying to wake people up anymore. I kind of used to, in my real life. But, people don't want to know these things. They create these narratives and these agendas, but they control both sides of the narrative because they know there's going to be opposition. Washboard abs, yeah. Washboard abs. See, that's not an hourglass figure. The waist is slightly more narrow. It's 90% as wide as the hips, as you find on most men. Right? Most men who are not overweight will have a body exactly like this. Shoulders, the widest part of the body. Yeah. So, that's a dude. Right. So why is this person slamming the other tranny, right? Why is the tranny slamming the other tranny? That's just how they roll, It has to do with Kabbalah and their whole worldview. I won't get into it now. I have a longer video I'm working on right now. Oh, here's a good one. Look at that. Crossing the legs to make the hips look wider, to make it look like there's an hourglass figure. Hand on the hips to cover it up. It's the same thing every time. But those shoulders are still sticking out. They're trying to kind of move the shoulders around. In fact, so this is an example of a tranny who's pretending to be anti-tranny, right? And we see this all the time. And I'm going to show you one more example from the U.S. This one here, Candace Owens. Oh, by the way, this person's last name is Davies, right? Davies, like David. And this person's last name is Owens, like Owen, right? For male first name as the last name. Not every time, but quite often you see it. This is also a man in drag. Candace Owens, who says all the right things. See, people get a little confused because, like for me, when I hear these people speak, I will agree with like 90% of what they say, at least, because they are playing the role of the opposition, right? Just like the right and left. That's dualism, right? Right and left, black and white, right? So they control the narratives of the dualism, and their goal eventually is to destroy the dualism to get us all into the singularity, because we're all just gods in drag, as RuPaul said. We're all gods in drag, so they're playing the role of the opposition. It's theater, all right? It's theater. This person kind of came out of nowhere. It's on TV, all right? If they're on TV, they're a TV, a transvestite. Now this one also, I don't know what ethnicity this person is, but I am a skeptic. I'm skeptical that this person is what they call an American black person. Now maybe it is, but it could be a dark-skinned Asian man, all right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. There's a lot of dark-skinned Asian people, right? Especially like in Indonesia, Malaysia, that area. That's where Obama comes from. Indonesia used to be a Dutch colony. So there's all kinds of weird things going on. Trudeau's ancestor, like his great-grandfather or his great-great-grandfather, founded Singapore. Anyway, this looks like a dark-skinned Asian man to me. They say all the right things, right? This person even speaks out against Black Lives Matter and Trans Lives Matter and the whole deal. See how he's trying to push his shoulders in so they don't look so wide. But here, so mainly here we're looking at the bone structure in the head, the skull. Lots of makeup on to cover up that large head. I got that as above, so below imagery going on there. Saying all the right things. I personally do not believe this is a woman at all. This is like the right version of AOC. The left has AOC, who says all the crazy things a radical left-winger would say. And this person is a right-wing tranny, who says a lot of things the right-wingers want to hear. But the right and left, Democrat, Republican, all this kind of stuff is all part of the dualism, right? So they control the dualism, and they eventually want to destroy the dualism and replace it with monism. It gets a little deep. I'm not going to get too deep on this in this video. Oh, we've seen that sign before many times. That's an all-American tranny. Oh, the real reason I want to make this video is I was reading this book yesterday. It's a commentary on Genesis. It's kind of interesting just to see what different scholars say about this verse, Genesis 1:27. It says, male and female, he created them. Now I get comments and emails all the time by people who apparently lack critical thinking skills, but they say, oh, that means God made people androgynous. No, that's what the Kabbalists believe, all right? That's what they believe. And that's what the New Agers and Freemasons believe, but that's not what the Bible says, right? Them is a plural pronoun talking about more than one person. And that's why these days they're trying to change it into a singular pronoun that talks about one person. That's the whole thing. That's the whole Kabbalistic agenda in one word. From the many into one, e pluribus unum. So this one word is being used to create a new species. And there's more about this Kabbalah stuff in my next video, which is kind of long. So this guy, Mr. Guzik, writes in his commentary, this should not be construed to mean Adam was originally some type of androgynous being both male and female. This passage of Genesis gives us an overview of God's creation of man And Genesis 2 will explain how exactly God created male and female, which is exactly how I think it is. Genesis 1 is a broad overview of the creation of the heavens and the earth, or in other words, the sky and the earth. And that's exactly what Genesis 1 is about. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then Genesis 2 goes into much more detail about the creation of human beings, starting with Adam, who was male, and then Eve, who was female. So when it says male and female, he created them, it means he created men and women, and specifically one man, one woman at different times. Created a man, then he created a woman. Them, because there's two people. You can use the word them to talk about two people, not about one person. See, if this said male and female, he created him, then that would be talking about an androgyne. But that's not what it says. It says male and female, he created them, Adam and Eve, one man, one woman. And then he goes on to say, in our day, many say there is no real difference between men and women. To God, the differences between men and women are not accidents. Since he created them, the differences are good and meaningful. Men are not women, and women are not men. One of the saddest signs of our culture's depravity is the amount and the degree of gender confusion today. It is vain to wonder if men or women are superior to the other. A man is absolutely superior at being a man. A woman is absolutely superior at being a woman. But when a man tries to be a woman or a woman tries to be a man, you have something inferior. So there you have it. I thought that was good. Some of these guys are good, they have a good way with words. So I thought I'd share that. Now there's another commentary I'm going to read. This one is written by a Jewish guy. So let's just see what he has to say about Genesis 1, verse 27. According to the rabbinic interpretation, man was created with two faces, that is a hermaphrodite. Okay, so that's what the rabbis say. That's what the rabbinic Kabbalistic interpretation is. This too is how many commentators of our day, basing their view on similar legends that were current in the ancient world, understand the passage. But this is not the true sense of the verse, for it distinctly states he created them in the plural. So some scholars have proposed that we read him, which is altho in Hebrew, instead of them, which is altham. But the suggestion is unacceptable for three reasons. It would make the second and third parts of the verse have identical endings, which is not possible. The emendation is based on a hypothetical interpretation, which in turn assumes the emendation. The plural is found again later. Male and female, he created them, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. So that they're always referred to as them when there's more than one person. Adam, as an individual singular person, is never referred to as them. And in the Net Bible, male and female, he created them. This footnote says the distinction of humankind as male and female is another point of separation in God's creation. There is no possibility that the verse is teaching that humans were first androgynous, having both male and female physical characteristics, and afterward were separated. The mention of male and female prepares for the blessing to follow. So again, people will see whatever they want to see in the Bible, if that's what they want to do, instead of just reading it for what it says. See, some people come to the Bible with their own preconceived ideas. They want to insert their twisted version of reality into the text. That's called eisegesis. Exegesis is when you just read the text and see what it actually says and get your worldview from what the Bible actually says and change your life based on what the Bible says. Some people want to change the Bible based on the way they want to live their life to justify their depravity, to make it seem like the Bible doesn't say what it actually says. But really, we're supposed to just read the Bible and change our life to match what the Bible says. We're supposed to change ourselves. Don't change the Bible. So when people, start creating themselves or recreating themselves into men and women, they're playing the role of God. And God's not too pleased about that. You're not God, all right? You're not God. And Adam was not androgynous. And as we know, The pronoun them was named word of the year and word of the decade. Redefining words. The plural pronoun them was changed to a singular pronoun them and named word of the decade, word of the year, because it's Kabbalah. Right? This war, we are at war, and it is a war of the Kabbalistic cult trying to transform the world into their image. In fact, they know that especially the so-called right-wing Christian demographic is going to be opposed to this Kabbalistic takeover of the world. So they have their own people pretending to be right-wing or Christian or both. And unfortunately, they're very effective because people respond to these divisive issues emotionally, one way or another, right? The left has an emotional reaction to things, and the right also has an equally emotional reaction to things. Really, it's a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war. We can't save the world. The world is Babylon, and Babylon will destroy itself and ultimately be judged and destroyed by God. You know, the schools are brainwashing children into Kabbalah and changing their bodies into androgynous Adam. Now, obviously, you don't want your child to go through that, but I don't know if we can change the schools. Can we change the Babylonian system? Did Daniel try to change Babylon? Not really. The empires of the world come and go, and there will be one end times evil empire led by a pseudo-messiah, Antichrist. The Antichrist comes first, and then the Messiah will return. Girl, you'll be a tranny soon, soon. You'll be a man, boy. You'll be a woman too, soon. You'll become trans.
I go back to this real quick because I could see how
We are at war.
straight the camera was. There's two other things I forgot to mention that I had written down here. I just wanted to address, and I think I'll probably make a video about this. Hold on. Okay. I've gotten complaints from people that their comments are getting deleted, and I just wanted to let you know that unless you're like leading people astray with misinformation or you're being abusive or something, I'm not deleting your comments. I don't think anyone's deleting your comments except for NaziTube. So I just thought I would put that out there just in case. I also wanted to give like, is my Wi-Fi going out? Okay. I wanted to give like a praise report. It's kind of stupid, but you know, I live in Texas. It's really hot, so you know, I'll be naked a lot of the time. And I was cooking naked, and I had butter boiling in a pot. And long story short, I ended up splashing butter all over my chest and my stomach and stuff, and I screamed. And I should have gotten a third degree burn, but I immediately prayed over it and laid hands on it, and I don't have a mark. And this was days ago, so I should have definitely had like some blisters and stuff going on, but there's not a mark there. The pain went away almost immediately after I started praying, and just really cool. So I thought I would just put that out there. No, that's not making this any better. I'm trying to fix the camera angle. Anyway, I'm going to slowly fix the camera while I play the next thing. Now this, I love this video. It's blocked for some reason. It won't let me post it publicly, so I really hope hope it'll let you guys hear this and see this. Let me know if the volume's too high or too low, please, because I don't know.
Tree idea.
I really like this video.
This came out a while ago. I didn't comment on it. So Jeff Beck died about a month ago now. And this is what Jimmy Page said in a little tweet. He said, now these guys played in the band together for a while, the Yardbirds, in 1966. So Jimmy Page said, the six-stringed warrior is no longer here for us to admire. All right, so admire, there's the idolatry idea. The spell. Jeff Beck was casting spells, apparently. Sorcery, witchcraft. To get idolatry and witchcraft, he could weave around our mortal emotions. Jeff could channel music from the ethereal, from the ether. It says it right there. The ether is the brill, the ether is the water. Jeff could channel music from the ethereal. Jimmy Page is saying that right after Jeff Beck died. He's not joking. This is, when somebody dies, you don't like start making stuff up. You want to honor that person's memory and say good things about them. I used to idolize Jimmy Page. He was my icon, and Jeff Beck. I've seen Jeff Beck in concert a couple times. Now, I would probably say this is true. If you've ever been to a Jeff Beck concert, or even just listening to his music, Jeff could channel music from the ethereal. It kind of seemed like it to me. He could produce sounds from his guitar that nobody else can. I mean, it's the same instrument, but nobody else can do what he did. Now, Jimmy Page, remember, was part of that Aleister Crowley group called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. He's saying Jeff could channel music from the ethereal, from the spiritual realm. Maybe Jimmy did this as well. Now, how did he do that, right? That's divination. Divination, they talk about divination in the Bible. It's something God doesn't want us to do, but it seems like it's possible to do it. So around the same time that David Bowie faked his death, which is really kind of a death and transformation ritual for these guys. Around the same time, Prince faked his death and went through this death and transformation ritual, and then came out on the other side as pretending to be a sister that never even existed, right? He doesn't have a sister, at least not this one, named Tika. So Prince is now pretending to be Tika Nelson. If you've ever been to a Prince concert, maybe you also felt the same way, that Prince was channeling music from a different realm. And this is 20 years ago, I thought that. I didn't even believe in that stuff. And I've been to a lot of concerts. I've seen a lot of people play music. The only time I felt like people were channeling music from some kind of mysterious, supernatural world was with Prince and Jeff Beck. And again, I know I'm going to get pushback on that, but that's from people who have never been to a Prince concert. And I'm not trying to praise him or anything like that. Prince is another transvestite, is another androgynous angel or demon. Now, was he really channeling music or not? I don't know, but that's what it felt like to me. But the tweet is a fact, and he said these things, and what does it mean? Well, it seems like he's actually saying Jeff could channel music from the ethereal. So, could Jeff Beck channel music from the ethereal? Well, who knows him better than Jimmy Page? So the answer is yes, he could. He wouldn't just say this if he couldn't do it, unless you think that's some kind of hyperbole. I think this is actually a confession. If Jeff Beck was channeling music from the ethereal, then who else was? Now, there's another artist I can think of off the top of my head who may have done this, which is John Coltrane. One of his last albums before he died, and he was hooked up with this crazy wife called Alice Coltrane, who was heavily into the occult. And his last few albums, man, I don't know the names of them offhand. I've heard them once, and it was so freaky. It's some of the most intense, crazy music I've ever heard in my life. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's my experience. And there's Angelica Houston's face. This person is also channeling something into their acting craft. David Bowie channeling something. Jack Nicholson is he's taking a whiff. He's taking a whiff of the transvestite. There they are spinning some records. Maybe they're playing a little John Coltrane, getting a little inspiration from the ethereal realm.
Okay. So, haha, it let me play that, even though it was copyrighted. worldwide. For some reason, there's no music or anything that I recall, so weird stuff, man. Dang old Nazi tube. Dang nab and dadgum. Alright. I don't understand this camera business. I feel like the more I try to fix it, the worse I make it. I just want it to look nice, you know? I want us to have a nice experience. And I don't know about y'all, but with me, it's like if one thing is off, my brain is fixated on it. It bugs the stew out of me, and I just can't relax. So, trying to work on myself. All right. This is the one that was in the thumbnail.
Is that as a Mason you are promised immortality. Is that as a Mason you are promised immortality. If you go to a Masonic funeral, you will hear them discuss the immortality issue. You will hear them promise that they will go to the celestial lodge above and live there forever. How do they get this immortality? They don't believe in Jesus. The name of Jesus is not allowed to be mentioned in the Blue Lodge of Freemasonry. And while there are probably many Masons in this nation that are either nominal or even professing Christians, that doesn't enter into this discussion because it's not mentioned in the funeral. Where do they get their promise of immortality? Simply, the secret that Crowley uncovered, probably through demonic intervention, is the secret that this immortality is conveyed through tantric sex magic. And the kind of sex magic that we're talking about here, unfortunately, is a sexual violation of a little child. Crowley taught that the way you could live forever was by vampirizing little children sexually. And he personally bragged of having slaughtered 150 male children in 1 year. This is why he was called the wickedest man in the world. And this, I apologize, this is so horrible. But Masons are doing this. Not all Masons, please understand me. Probably 1 in 100 knows about this. But this is a significant enough problem that I feel compelled to share it with you. In our ministry, with one accord, we have had to pray for literally hundreds of people who are the relatives of Masons, either children, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, whatever, and they have been sexually violated by their Masonic relatives, often in Masonic temples. This is why the Masons believe that they will live forever. They think every time they defile a little child, they steal some of that child's youth. And if you notice, children who are sexually abused do age more rapidly because their innocence has been stolen.
Jeez, man. That's heavy. That actually makes me sick. Man. This is the stuff they don't want you to know, people. This is the stuff. Isn't there something else? I go forward, maybe? Or do I go backward? No. Is it this one? Sorry. Bear with me, please. Let's go with this one. I love the ones about music, and Mr. E seems to know a lot about rock and roll and stuff. So, I love that.
Here's
Ooh, too loud. Sorry. I wish I could be a DJ, but I don't think I'd be a good DJ, man.
Here's a song from the Foo Fighters. This is written by Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, and Nate Mendel. I just want to read the second verse here. And this came out in the 90s, and keep in mind Dave Grohl used to be the drummer for Nirvana. God bless, what a sensitive mess. Yeah, but things aren't always what they seem. Your teary eyes, your famous disguise, never knowing who to believe. See through, yeah, but what do you do when you're just another aging drag queen? Stacked dead actors, stacked to the rafters, Line up the bastards, all I want is the truth. Hey, hey now, can you fake it? Can you make it look like we won? Hey, hey now, can you take it? And we cry when they all die blonde. So Taylor Hawkins' heart, twice the size it should be at time of death. And what they're saying is that the Colombian officials did a urine test and found traces of 10 different drugs in his system. Opioids, marijuana, THC, antidepressants, which are prescription drugs, and benzos. Now, supposedly this guy was had a history of drug use in the past, but was supposedly clean and sober for many years. And while it is possible for people to have a relapse, a drug addict will never just have traces of drugs in their body. They will have lots of drugs in their body, especially if they relapse. And no one's going to die for having traces of drugs in their body. Traces of drugs do not cause a drug overdose. Lots of drugs cause a drug overdose. And this was done in Colombia. According to the U.S. News and World Report, Colombia is the second most corrupt nation in the world. So I wouldn't put too much faith in what the Colombian officials have to say about the cause of death. The fact is, his heart was twice the size it should have been. A trace amount of drugs is not going to cause that. According to the myocarditisfoundation.org, myocarditis is a disease that causes inflammation of the heart muscle. This inflammation enlarges and weakens the heart. Inflammation of the heart is another way of saying the heart was twice the size it should be. This term myocarditis has become a hot topic ever since the vaccines have rolled out.
I was just about to say, maybe he was a early test subject or something.
All right, so this is that famous Pfizer side effect list. Myocarditis, in fact, is listed quite a bit on this document. There it is again. There it is a couple more times. And it's down there. There it is again. And here's another word. It's really 3 words I've never heard before. Alopecia. What is alopecia? Never heard of the word before in my life. It just means hair loss, basically. But there's a type of autoimmune hair loss, causes hair to fall out in small patches. So let's see if alopecia is a known side effect of the vaccine, according to Pfizer, not according to me. Oh, there it is right there, alopecia. And here's another word I never heard before, aphasia. Aphasia is an inability to comprehend or formulate language because of damage to specific brain regions. The major causes are stroke and head trauma. Now, a former colleague of mine just had a stroke, blood clots in the brain, after getting the required injections. He got the injections so he could work, but because of the injections' side effects, he's not able to work ever again. And we know that myocarditis is increasing a lot. I suspect that they're going to start seeing teachers and students passing out and even dying right in the classroom. I think we're going to see a lot of that happening. And people will take cell phone videos of this, and we'll see this trending on TikTok. And aphasia does appear in the Pfizer list of adverse events of special interest, aphasia. Although it says acquired epileptic aphasia. Maybe I'm just an ignorant, unemployed white man who talks to his cats. But I never heard of these terms before, aphasia or alopecia, until just a few days ago. We cry when they all die blonde. Trauma-based mind control. So when a rock star fakes their death, or maybe when they're murdered, that's a trauma for all the fans, right? That's kind of a trauma for the culture itself. When Kurt Cobain supposedly died, that was a trauma for an entire generation. Now, it's hard to tell sometimes, did they really die or was it fake? Ancient Greek theater, alive and well today. Androgyny, very important part of their religion, and they are spreading it around the world. This singer from Jane's Addiction, I think his name is Perry Farrell or something, the guy with all the plastic surgery here. He said Taylor Hawkins was his best friend. So there's the androgyne wives and the two rock stars. These guys are sorcerers and magicians. That's basically what they are. And this is not a female, all right, by the way. It's time for another episode of Rock Stars in Drag, starting with Nirvana. Now, I'm not actually sure who these other guys are. They may be early members of the band or some of his friends or something, but there's Kurt Cobain in a dress. And we got a Red Hot Chili Pepper with red hot lipstick. And some members of Nirvana. Is that an intentional hand sign or not? Not sure. And there's RuPaul hanging out with the Queen himself, RuPaul, Queen of the Androgynes. Dave Grohl getting himself a feel, it looks like, but he looks like he's having a good time. And there's the androgyne mother, and there he is again on stage in a dress, promoting this on the cover of a magazine, The Face, in the court of King Kurt. There he is right there, King Kurt with the crown, dressed like a galley priest, a castrated transvestite priest of the mother goddess Kabbalah. Ancient mystery religions, alive and well in modern day pop culture. The one eye. Remember that video with Dave Chappelle on Oprah? And he went on for like 10 minutes talking about how they wanted him to dress up like a girl, like put a dress on.
Uh-oh. Sorry, that happens sometimes. I don't know why. Usually,
He's like,
yeah.
no, I really
There we go. Sorry about that.
on Oprah. And he went on for like 10 minutes talking about how they wanted him to dress up like a girl, like put a dress on for a movie, and he refused to do it. And they really wanted him to do it. Like he just said, like they just kept coming after him to put that dress on. And he's like, no, I really don't want to do it. And then like right after that, he took off and he left to Africa and he kind of left show business. And then he came back years later. Looks like a different person to me. I'm not going to get into that now, but it's kind of a side note, you know. There he is again in the dress. This is Mark Lanigan, who's another guy who just died mysteriously after getting vaccinated. And this is that guy Dylan. And these guys are all like shooting up heroin together and stuff, supposedly. Mark Lanigan was like best friends with Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley. They were all junkie buddies, apparently. You know, who knows what to believe with these stacked actors. Now here's Taylor Hawkins and there's the Foo Fighters. Now these guys did an entire video in drag. So this may be for a music video or who knows what it is, but public cross-dressing is part of the ritual that these guys have to do. Almost every male celebrity has done some kind of public cross-dressing. You know, and just like I said, with Dave Chappelle, they wanted him to do it too, and he refused to do it. You could find a photo of almost any male celebrity cross-dressing publicly, because that's what they have to do. It's pharmakia. This is pharmakia, sorcery, magic, witchcraft. Kind of dressed up like Alanis Morissette. Looks a lot like Alanis Morissette, who is that's who Taylor Hawkins used to be the drummer for. Although I think Alanis Morissette looks a little bit more masculine than Dave Grohl, to be honest. Yeah, I think this is from that music video. I think this is Taylor Hawkins there, dressed up like a girl. Looks like a lot of actresses you see on TV, actually. This one, he makes it pretty good. He's pretty good at the effeminate mannerisms for some reason. Oh no, there's Flea and some of the Chili Peppers. And it's just all very disturbing. The average person would see this and be like, oh yeah, they're just messing around. They're just having fun. You know, it's not a big deal. It's a joke. It's funny. It's comedy. Well, Remember that thing in high school? They had a thing called the powder puff. Athletes on the football team would dress up like cheerleaders, and then the cheerleaders would play football. It was basically a gender role reversal. And this is very much a Masonic ritual that is in high schools all over the country. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is funny. This is a big joke. This has been going on a long time. And people think it's all just fun and games until somebody gets their balls chopped off. Rock and roll is all fun and games until you get your vaccine passport and then die of myocarditis. Stacked dead actors. RuPaul meets Nirvana. Now I have seen a music video where this guy's dressed in drag as well. Alice in Chains, dressed up in drag. Kurt Cobain gives birth in vintage promo resurrected for Nirvana's In Utero reissue. So these guys, Nirvana giving birth. And this guy, Kurt Cobain, was always writing about mandatory breeding laws and all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, that's a pretty esoteric looking kind of photo, you know what I mean? The flesh and blood. But then you got the angel wings promoting homosexuality and cross-dressing. And what's interesting to me is that a lot of these people are used to promote the injections. Foo Fighters, we know, required vaccination certificates, otherwise known as the Mark of the Beast, to enter their concerts. You know, for me, I would kind of say basically anyone who actually got injected with this stuff to attend a concert, in a way, kind of deserves what they're going to get. You know, they failed the test. I have family members who got injected to keep their jobs. Friends, lots of friends got injected, and they didn't want to. In fact, I was talking to a guy just 2 days ago. Australian guy, actually. Basically a guy I know. I hadn't seen him for a few months. He asked me how things were going. I said, well, you know, I lost my job and I had an organ removed. But he asked me why I lost my job. I said, because I didn't get the injections. And then that got him going. He said, yeah, man, I had to get those damn injections to keep my job, and he had to travel back to Australia. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but for me, I believe that if I took these injections, partly because of what I know, I'm not ignorant, it would compromise my eternal life, because those who take the mark of the beast do not enter the kingdom of God and live for eternity in the presence of God, according to the book of Revelation. So, and I cannot plead ignorance because I know too much. Now, some people are ignorant of these matters and they took these injections not knowing what it was. I don't know. God is the judge. God is the judge of all these things. So I know a lot of people who got these injections that did not want to do it, but they ended up doing it so that they could travel or so that they could keep their job. But they are basically against the whole thing, and they even see through the whole thing. They know the whole thing's a scam. They know it, right? And this guy, you know, he said, hey, I got the vaccine and then I got COVID, right? So he sees through this whole thing that the whole thing's a scam. He was the last guy in his office to get the injection. They wouldn't let him go to the office. He had to work from home. They wouldn't even let him socialize with anyone from the office outside of work. He was basically put into solitary confinement. So he held out as long as he possibly could, but eventually he did break down and take the mark of the beast.
My question is, like, let's say this isn't the mark of the beast and it's just a test or whatever. If you couldn't handle this when it was temporary, like, a lot of people felt the pressure for a while to get that injection, and then after several months, their job was like, okay, well, you don't have to get it. You don't have to wear a mask either. It all blew over. So if you couldn't handle the stress for a temporary situation that kind of was like the mark of the beast, how are you going to handle the actual thing? That's what I don't get, you know? People should be, like, I mean, I hate saying this but I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself, really. Like, if you really convince yourself into believing, okay, it's not the mark, but you still went and did it because you wanted to keep your job or whatever reason, what are you going to do when the mark actually does come? You're obviously going to give in. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it.
Unfortunately, happens to a lot of people. It's not going to happen to me because I'm not afraid to die, because death has been defeated through my Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, if someone doesn't have Jesus Christ as their Savior, then they're going to make different decisions. They have a different worldview. For me, my future is very good, even though right now my future doesn't look that good on earth. Unemployed, difficult for me to get a new job. I don't have the mark of the beast, the vaccine passport, and recovering from surgery now. Getting a little bit better every day, but not quite. I'm probably at about 60%, I would say, recovered right now. But eternally, my future looks pretty good, I think. Resurrection from death, eternal life in the kingdom of God. That sounds pretty good to me. So my future is really good. And a lot of people will have a very, very good future. So let's focus on the good things to come. The future is great. The future looks really good. Short term, we'll probably be hunted down and tortured and killed. Or we'll starve to death. But after that, things are going to be great. Yeah. So for me, like, I would rather die than get these injections. That's a decision I made from the very start. And that may happen. That actually may happen to me. I may end up dying because I did not take the mark of the beast. That's a very real possibility. And that's basically what it says in the Bible, which I believe. So I'm in the minority, apparently, here on earth. I'm just passing through. I'm an alien on this earth. I'm one of the weird ones who would rather die than get these injections. But a lot of people who get these injections die anyway. But for me, I have more of an eternal point of view. Stack dead actors, stack to the rafters, line up the bastards. All I want is the truth. When they all died down.
I love weird guys. Him and his cats. All right. What was it? Oh yeah, you guys might remember. I hope you are subscribed to the Arson Darksea channel. The other Arson Darksea channel was deleted right before I got monetized, of course. But anywho, you might know that I posted a short video about the Hasty Pudding Club, which is the oldest social club in America, whatever. Of course, it's all tranified. And I thought this was very interesting information here. The Secret Society of Drag Queens at Harvard. If you're a tranny, you hold this little bowl thing that's supposed to signify your nuts being in there or something. your original sex in that bowl. Because, I mean, it goes both ways whether you're male or female. Like George Clooney and Tom Cruise. They're trannies, you know. And they hold that bowl too, so I guess their labia is in there. So I don't know.
So I came across this in my...
And I know I'm playing a lot of Mr. E, but he makes such good videos with great information. Not all the videos are going to be Mr. E, though, so...
recent video. There's this social club at Harvard University called Hasty Pudding. And they have the Hasty Pudding Woman of the Year award that they put out every year. And it's usually some famous actor. And then they go there and kind of hang out and take pictures and have a little party. You know?
Whenever you hear Woman of the Year for anything, it's never a woman. Pisses me off.
Well, it seems like a secret society, but you can see that it's a bunch of transvestites. Looks like we got 3 transvestites in this photo here. We know that the history of theater, the men always played the women's roles, going back thousands of years. Some people will say, well, they did that for a practical reason. but actually it's documented they did it for a religious reason. Theater was started in a pagan religious environment for pagan religious purposes. Really hasn't changed much at all. All right, so this is the oldest social club in the United States. A transvestite social club is the oldest social club in the United States. Started in 1795. Hasty Pudding Star-Studded History is from the Harvard Gazette. There's James Lee Curtis hanging out with a bunch of transvestites, having a gay old time. See, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, don't these movie stars have something better to do than go visit some college social club? And they do it every year. These are like very famous people going there to hang out with these college students every year, and they're dressed up like transvestites. What is going on? The club took its name from a traditional English dessert, pudding, cooked in milk. Milk in Greek is gala, and we know what the gala are. This is plural, so gala is singular. The transvestite priests or the eunuch priests of the Phrygian goddess Kybele. Gala in Greek means milk, and this pudding is made with milk. It's the mother's milk. The transvestites of the goddess are the mother's milk. Began awarding the Woman of the Year award in 1951 to performers deemed to have made a lasting and impressive contribution to the world of entertainment.
Isn't milk also a symbol for adrenochrome or child sacrifice?
Entertainment is a cult. Entertainment is the cult of Kybele. The entertainment industry is a cult of pharmakia. Pharmakia is magic, sorcery, and even includes transhumanist medicine or drugs. Honorees have included Titans. Titans were the Greek gods, the offspring of Uranus, Uranos, heaven, and Gaia, earth. The offspring of heaven and earth were the gods. Iconic musicians and even a first lady boy. The club has included women for some time, but has only had men on stage. So you can see right here, they tell you they're keeping the ancient theater tradition alive by only having men on stage, and they're also playing the female roles. Look back at some of the luminaries, the planets, the lights in the sky. And there's Harrison Ford with a crown of serpents, flanked on each side by a transvestite. And he's even cross-dressing as well. Look at that. He's got a little thing down there. There's Hal. Hal hanging out with his friends, right? Happy. Finally, my true authentic self can be expressed in a convertible full of transvestites. Doesn't Hal have something better to do? No. This is the greatest day of Hal's life. And then they also have a Man of the Year. They started later. Oh, there's Clint. See, is it possible that Dirty Harry is a woman? It's like, we don't really want to believe that, right? It's like, no. And look at that. He's cross-dressing right there. He's got a bra on. American flag bra. The patriotic tranny.
And isn't that funny? Of all the things to be on the bra, it's the American flag, right? Just like what we're going through now. It's like America is now tranny town. It was in the plans all along. And the more you learn about this, where this ideology comes from, you realize that this really was their plan from the beginning, and that this is biblical. Look up the scripture. I believe it's Matthew 11, verse 8. Matthew 11, verse 8. Trannies have been in power for thousands of years, and it's been covered up. But like God told us, the truth will come out. All will be known.
All right, so Alan Alda, a doppelganger of Megan Fox. Helen Mirren hanging out with his buddies there. Oh, Samuel Jackson doing a little cross-dressing. Now maybe he is a woman. He actually does have some feminine qualities about him, doesn't he? Scarlett Johansson. Oh yeah, hanging out with his buddies here. Wishing that someday the truth could be revealed. Oh, there's Tom Cruise wearing a bra, right? See, maybe that's his true, authentic self. Maybe he misses his breasts. I think this dude's like 5 feet tall.
Tom Cruise is definitely a female. And I'm noticing that whenever you notice a so-called male celebrity that's in all of these really masculine roles, all these famous movies like 007 and, what was it, Maverick, whatever it was that Tom Cruise was in, George Clooney, I think, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's that other guy? Jason Momoa. Whenever you have this reputation of being a manly man, you're actually a woman. It's just a part of their witchcraft. Just like, who's the sex symbol? It's Marilyn Monroe. Who's Marilyn Monroe? A castrato, a biological male with a penis. We actually have a picture of Marilyn Monroe's penis on the beach. And yet people think that, oh, that was what a woman is supposed to be. That's the ultimate woman, the sex symbol. That's the role model for all females. You know? It's just sick. I mean, it makes me so angry, especially because I used to be bulimic and anorexic. I used to be in the eating disorder community, and I saw young women die trying to look like this. And I saw a bunch of other ones killing themselves trying to look like Angelina Jolie, for example. And they had no clue that they were killing themselves to look like something they could never be, because they had a female skeleton. And Angelina Jolie had a male skeleton, but never told anyone the truth. So you got biological females sticking their fingers down their throats 10 times a day, trying to obtain this skeleton they could never have in a million years, no matter what. Even if they had all the money in the world and had all the surgery in the world, they still could not look like Angelina Jolie. You know? And it just makes me so angry. So angry. Sorry. Anyway.
Real. Oh, there's Tom Cruise wearing a bra, right? See, maybe that's his true, authentic self. Maybe he misses his breasts. I think this dude's like 5 feet tall. It's like, why would you, like Tom Cruise seems like kind of a busy guy or a person, a busy entity. And he's going to fly all the way out to Boston and wear a bra that says Veritas on it, truth. This is true, authentic self. He's got a bow tie and a bra. It's kind of a mix of male and female, isn't it? Right? He's a functionary, a cult functionary in the cult of Kabbalah, in the mother goddess cult. Whatever he is, male or female or something in between, married to the kid man. Either way, he's part of the cult. Now, the thing these guys hold in their hand, it's a little bowl, but that may be what's called the reed and bowl of the ancient castration cults. In fact, just the other day, someone sent me an email telling me to check out the reed and bowl ceremony, which I'd never really heard of, but I was already making this video. In the process of making this video, I do get tons of synchronicity these days with the videos I work on and then the information that kind of comes to me. So that's probably what that is. I don't have any other references to it right now just yet, so I'll continue to look into this. If you have any information, put a comment below. But all these supposed male actors get on stage and they basically cross-dress on stage and they hold this bowl thing. And I think that's where the testicles go. It goes back a long way. This whole thing is so old and ancient, and these guys are keeping it alive, and they're idolized as gods, and they're doing it all right in plain sight. So even this Harvard Theater Club, it may even be the theater department of Skull and Bones, I wonder. You know, like you'd think that all these different universities, secret societies are kind of connected to each other. They all share a love of cross-dressing. Like, why would they do this? What's going on? This is theater. Theater is a transvestite cult for the mother goddess. Cher was there. Mary Tyler Moore, feminist icon actually a man. Houston, we have a problem. There's Charlie Therion, the beast. It's the image of the beast. People were attracted to this one, right? So they don't want to admit that they were lusting after a man. And the women wanted to be like this person here, and they don't want to admit that they were fooled. Nobody wants to admit they were fooled. But we've all been fooled by people like Charlie. So I wonder, is this a secret society? Club's game room, which has no windows or openings to the outside. Well, I wonder what kind of games they're playing that they don't want people to find out about. And then Yale, of course, has Skull and Bones, also known as the Order 322, or the Brotherhood of Death. Isn't that wonderful that former U.S. presidents were part of the Brotherhood of Death?
Seriously.
That wasn't really the campaign slogan, was it? Vote for me. I was in the Brotherhood of Death. So I just wonder, is this Hasty Pudding Club kind of like the Skull and Bones of Harvard, right? Harvard University, the first university in the United States. And this club is the oldest social club in the United States. Now here's a list of the Women of the Year at the Hasty Pudding Club. See, the whole thing is, it's just so weird. It's like, why do people even show up to this? I mean, if I started a social club at university and invited some famous actor to come, they wouldn't come. But if you get a bunch of transvestites do it, then they come and show up, right? Jennifer Garner, one of the most masculine people on earth, actually. I don't know how they continue to claim that this person's a woman. I don't know why anybody believes it. Well, I kind of do, I guess. I love to believe lies.
Good night. Good night, man. Hey, there's let's see, 12 people watching. Probably more than that. Anyone here, be honest, is anyone turned on? Does that get you going? Does any of this get you going? Just be honest. Because we might have to deprogram you. Oh my gosh. You know, and the way it brainwashes you. Like, if you're a male, you're going to be, of course, men are going to be attracted to the titties. They're brainwashed and wired to be attracted to, I'm sure, like, lingerie. But it's all on top of a male skeleton. And then females, like, there's so many women out there. I keep seeing these stories where women will, they're lesbians now that they're adults. And they'll say, oh, well, my first crush was Gwyneth Paltrow. And that's how I knew I was a lesbian at 5 years old or 10 years old or 15 or whatever. And it's like, but that's a man. You know? Women don't realize they're actually attracted to the man on the inside. And oh my gosh, like it's too late in the night for me to wrap my mind around it and try to speak clearly, but just, oh, it's so gross. And I just, like, how did we not see it? How did I not see it for all these years, right? Up until like 3 years ago, I thought maybe like, Michelle Obama was a guy, because that's what everyone was talking about. And I was like, yeah, I guess I can see that. But that's about as far as I went for a long time. I just don't know how anyone can look at these people and see a woman. I guess the first thing you look at is the eyes. And maybe the eyes, since it is the eyes of a witch or a warlock, maybe it does put you under a spell. Because that's the first thing you look at. And then for some reason, after you look at the eyes, you tend to just see a female and make excuses like, well, maybe she's just got weird genetics, or it's surgery, or she just works out a lot, or, And it doesn't hit you that, wait a minute, I've seen this body before. That's my uncle's body. That's my dad's body. That's my brother's body, Oh, man, that's just so gross. Anyway, sorry.
I'm not going to go through all these, but we got ourselves a Tyrannosaurus Rex right there, son of Ron Howard. So we can see how all the celebrities have androgyne children, right? I mean, it runs in the family. So there's obviously the official story about their births are not true. There's something else going on. The Ukrainian. Now this is another one that fools people. I've done videos on about half of these people on this list already. Claire Danes, Homelander. Julianne Moore. Anne Hathaway, About Her. Charlie, there's Charlie. His friends call him Charlie. Sometimes his friends call him Chuck. Never mind the bullocks. It's Sandra, the castrated bull. First job was working in a drag show. What kind of people work in drag shows? I wonder what the qualifications are. Oh, Houston. We still have a problem. Trannies in the city. Michelle Pfeiffer. I've done videos on these people. I'm not transvestigating them. You know, this is not a transvestigation video. This is a video about a secret society of transvestites at Harvard University and ancient Greek theater and pharmakia. Meg Ryan. Ryan is a male first name. Meg Ryan has a prominent Adam's apple. Why is that? Gee, I wonder. Glenn Close, not close enough. Lucille had balls. Cher. There it is right there. There's the goddess. There's the Phrygian priest. There's the eunuch priest of the Kabbalah cult right there. I mean, it's the same thing. Nothing's changed. People are part of an ancient cult. They may be part of an ancient bloodline as well. They may be a different species. They basically are. They think of themselves as a different species than us, and they basically are. Meryl Streep. Yeah, see? It's like a goofy-looking dude. Candace Bergen. Yeah, there's too many people. Oh, Carol Channing. Remember that one? Look at that. Carol Channing. Come on, give me a break. That's a tranny. Dionne Warwick. The Wick of War. Carol Burnett. Come on. Look at that. There's the detective. Yeah, the detective. Lauren Bacall. It's all Ethel Merman. It's not a mermaid, it's a merman. Damien the Omen. It just goes on forever. Jane Fonda. Katharine Hepburn, right? Yeah, there you go. Woodward. Yeah, it kind of looks like the icon of the beast. Charlie, a little bit. Got that face. Smoothed out face. Who's the first one? Oh, well, look at this one. The first one. Gertrude Lawrence. Larry. Yeah. Oh, no. Mamie Eisenhower was the third woman of the year in this transvestite secret society. Ike, right? Ike's husband. Now, you do got to wonder who's the man, who's the woman in this relationship. Do they even have real relationships? I kind of doubt it.
I'm gonna be, he made a series called The First Lady Boys of the United States, where he goes through every single first lady, or so-called lady, and shows that they're actually men. And I haven't watched it all. I just watched, like, I don't know, the first 2 or 3 parts of it. And I mean, it's so good. Like, George Washington's so-called wife. It looks like it's literally George Washington in drag. I mean, he wasn't even trying. You know, it's hilarious. A lot of these first ladies look just like the president in drag. So, I mean, there's like some conspiracy theory or something going on there. But I was going to stitch together all of the parts and put it on my tranny alert maybe in the next couple of weeks or so, because I do have like a 3-hour-long documentary coming out on August 19th, I think, is when I'm going to be airing it, and maybe also do another live stream like this, because I do have a lot of stuff I need to share, so I don't know. But I just thought I would say that and say keep an eye out on my training alert. I'm going to be posting more stuff there.
Skull and Bones. Remember there's that scene in that movie where Matt Damon was dressed like a girl at the time. That's when they invited him into the Skull and Bones while he was cross-dressing. So you got the Umbrella Corporation with the T-Virus. You got Vought Industries with the Compound V. They want to turn the entire world into a transvestite cult of their goddess to finally unite heaven and earth. We've been invaded by a transvestite cult that wants to destroy humanity and take over the world. They're all a bunch of androgynes, and now they're injecting people. with compound V or the T virus, whatever it is. We'll find out. This war is not going to end until the Messiah returns. And the tribulation will get worse. It will be a short tribulation. That's the good news, is the tribulation will be a short period of time. Matthew 24. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation, thlipsis, and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. And if those days had not been cut short, so those days will be cut short, but it's going to be so bad that if they were not cut short, no human being would be saved. No human being would be saved, which means that there's some kind of extermination plan going on, right? I mean, isn't that what that means? But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. So good news. Well, good and bad news. It's bad news first. There will be great tribulation. There is no pre-trib rapture. Now, you're free to believe that if you want, but it's just not going to happen. So bad news. No pre-trib rapture. Good news is the tribulation will be cut short. And very good news, those who endure until the end will enter into the kingdom and have eternal life. And
when it says that the days will be cut short, I personally believe, and I could be wrong, so please don't be mad at me, but I personally think that could mean that time is actually speeding up, because I feel like there's evidence for time speeding up. And yeah, I just feel like scriptures can have multiple meanings going on.
new spiritual body.
Love his songs at the end.
She used to be a hater, but then he took some estrogen. He's got a way about him. I don't know what it is, but I know that I can't do without him.
And when you look at female to male transgenders, a lot of them look just like this. and a lot of them look just like this and Robert Downey Jr. and all these other creeps. Most of my bookmarks are from like 2 or 3 years ago. I gotta clean this console out. I think this one was good.
So this person here called Zoe Saldana, another Zoe, which means life in Greek, appeared in 3 of the 5 highest grossing films of all time: Avatar, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. I think that's the movie where like half the world's population was exterminated. I guess it was a documentary. A feat not achieved by any other performer. Her films have grossed more than $11 billion worldwide. She is the 2nd highest grossing film actress of all time as of 2019. Now, I'm not sure what that means exactly. I don't think this is the highest paid actor. It just means this person has been in 3 of the most popular movies of all time. And I wonder why that is. It's probably not really a household name. And I believe this person will be in all the Avatar sequels, which they're making a few of them. So why is this person in so many popular movies? And in fact, I would say this is one of the most viewed androgynes in history. That's right. More people have seen this androgyne than any other androgyne. He's got a gun there. What are you trying to tell us? Why is that man wearing a dress? That's the question. So this person plays green characters, and it also plays blue characters. It's a very versatile actor. So if you need a green or a blue transvestite for your blockbuster summer film, give this person a call. Put this tall, skinny transvestite in your movies, and it will be one of the most successful movies of all time, apparently. That's how it works. So this person plays aliens most of the time. I wonder why that is. Could it be an alien? A foreigner to this realm? Maybe that's what it really looks like. Maybe the avatars are the original androgynous race. It's also in the Star Trek franchise, I guess. Nice Adam's apple there, by the way. Now, to me, this almost looks like a Southeast Asian ladyboy, but maybe they're similar looking to the Hispanics. In fact, Filipinos are kind of a mix of Southeast Asia and Hispanic, I believe. This person also was in Rosemary's Baby, which may have something to do with the breeding program, the hybrid race. Cover of magazines. Put a transvestite on the cover to make sure that women have flat abs. Do not put a baby in your body. You got to abort that thing because you want flat abs like these transvestites. Talk show tranny. See, if you can't tell that's a man, I can't really help you. A lot of people choose to live in delusion, or they're just delusional. They're unable to see the truth. A lot of people, especially these days, they're simply unable to see the truth. They're allergic. It's like they're allergic to the truth. You show them the truth, and they recoil as if from a hot flame. Don't worry about it. They're done. It's over. It's finished. See, it's a skinny, tall transvestite, all smooth and hairless. And you see these all the time in Southeast Asia. They're called ladyboys. In the Philippines, I think they're called billy boys over there. You know, they're all waxed and smoothed out. Yeah, look at that masculine face. Not so pretty now, are you? Now that's the husband, also a bit gender ambiguous. See, look at that bone structure there, and on the hips, low body fat. Come on, a woman in her 40s looking like that? There's no way. The Adonis belt. It's a transvestite at the beach, right? Pretty small breast. Now those breasts might just be created by estrogen. Maybe doesn't even have a boob job. Sometimes I think the estrogen just creates larger breasts anyway. Cover up that neck. Yeah, see, when they look like an alien and most of their roles are aliens, then there's a good chance it is an alien. In fact, my friend just calls these people aliens. It's kind of a good code word. Yeah, pregnant, not so sure about that. An actor who works in Hollywood would have easy access to a fake pregnant belly. I just wonder if there's some Asian blood in this person as well. I think there is. Dressed up like a demonic entity. Hand on the hips, broad shoulders. No body fat at all, barely on this person. See, these people kind of starve themselves, actually. Crossing the legs. There it is. Crossing the legs. It gives the illusion of having female hips. And especially it's like wearing those curtains on the hips, concealing the gun.
Those curtains.
It's a loaded weapon. Yeah. So you wouldn't want to kiss this person if you're a man. It's like there's something that kind of repels you. You know, the natural instinct that a man has to avoid sexual contact with another man. That's real. It makes us want to puke, just the thought of it. They're trying to normalize it. They put them on TV all the time. You always have these gay love scenes all the time these days. They think, well, if we cover them all in makeup and make them look like women, then we can get the men to lust after other men. That's what they're doing. Come on, look at that pelvis. And these people go over the top. You know, they have to kind of, they wear clothing. They wear like more revealing clothing than most normal women would. They exaggerate the feminine qualities. They actually overdo it more than real women. Like real women don't pose and act the same way these people do. They overdo it. They have to. They're female illusionists. It's a deception. And they want us to participate in their illusion. They want us to live in a world of illusion. They want us to become sodomites. They want us all to go to hell. Transgender woman wins Miss Nevada USA pageant. There it is right there. Nevada, Las Vegas. Filipino American. Makes history. They're bringing back the androgynous race. It's got the star of Inanna right there on the earlobe. Yeah, there you go. Look at this. That's a dude. And that kind of looks like Zoe Saldana. A little bit more feminine, actually, way more feminine. Trans Miss USA contestant. It kind of looks like Zoe, right? Look at that. Now, they should put this person in the Avatar movie. Yeah. So they're right in your own backyard, hanging out in the desert with the demons. Here's one from the Philippines. Beauty pageant contestant from the androgynous race.
See, and people want to fight me whenever I say a celebrity is a tranny. People are like, oh, no, it's not. Oh. And it's like, well, have you not looked at the ladyboys and, from other parts of the world? Have you not looked at the ladyboys in Thailand and stuff? You would think those are women. 100% you would. And those are regular Joe Blows who are feminizing themselves. So you don't think someone with the same build who has, indisposable income, who's a part of an elite family and they can have any surgery, any procedure, anything under the sun, and have every picture and video of them taken at the perfect angle too, you don't think that person could look even more feminine than the ladyboys in Thailand that are going to fool you? It's like people just don't want to think. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, there's a black tranny. Now this one actually looks like Big Mike. That looks a lot like Big Mike. The crown. See, these pageants go back to the ancient Near East, back to the goddess worship. And now there's Zoe Saldana. That's right. It's a shapeshifter. It's a changeling. It's the new race. It's a new species.
How do people think that's a woman? Looks exactly like a guy, 100%. No hips to speak of at all. They don't even have a butt. They're trying to stick their butt out so it looks like a hip, but that's not even successful. Women don't even pose like this either. Maybe if you're like 5 years old, you might pose like that. That's the thing. I'm seeing so many of these so-called female celebrities, and they're posing like gay men. And they're acting like gay men, and people still can't put two and two together. Spiritual blindness is a very real thing, people.
All right, they're phasing out humanity. We're going extinct, and they're bringing in the androgynous race with pharmakia. So that's just what's going on. I'm just stating the obvious here. In fact, the androgyne is an avatar. That's really a simple way to understand it. The androgyne has become an avatar for the spiritual beings, the divine beings, demons. Demons inhabit the human body, which is an avatar. The word avatar appears dozens of times in the secret doctrine and other occult literature. Divine human avatar. This word avatar appears quite a bit in the secret doctrine. The divine hermaphrodite. Behold the imperishable witness to the evolution of the human races from the divine. Okay, so human beings evolved. We were not created by God, we evolved from gods, and especially from the androgynous race. Human beings evolved from the divine androgynous race. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Now the latter does not mean light at all, but in the Kabbalah, the androgyne, Adam Kadmon. So when God said, let there be light, he said, let there be androgynes. And there were androgynes. Light then in Genesis stood for the androgyne ray, or heavenly man, the ray of light. In the Kabbalah, which explains the secret meaning of Genesis, it's the secret meaning of Genesis. This light is the dual man, or the androgyne, rather the sexless angels, whose generic name is Adam Kadmon. That's why we have angel wing symbols everywhere you look, and you'll notice the angel wings on the A of the avatar, the androgynous energy resulting from this light of the Logos, which manifests in the plane of the objective universe as the hidden, as much as the revealed electricity, which is life. And as we know already, the word Zoe means life in Greek. The letter M is both feminine and masculine or androgyne, which I did not realize symbolizes the water. Water is androgynous also, apparently. In the book of Enoch, we have Adam, the first divine androgyne. Footnote, Adam, Kadmon, is like Brahma and Mars, a symbol of the generative and creative power, typifying water and earth, an alchemical secret. So what they're saying here is that Earth needs to be repopulated with androgynous angels. That's what the secret doctrine is all about. It's all about human evolution. Human beings evolved from androgynes, and human beings will become androgynes again, and that is how we save the earth, which is the mother goddess, and that's how we save the world. They're basically exterminating us, humanity, and trying to replace us with androgynes.
You notice the word we evolved? That's probably where evolution comes from. And maybe now that everyone believes in evolution, they're going to bring it back and they're going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, scientists found out that after, we evolved from whatever, tadpoles or whatever, we were originally male and female, and then we split, and they're probably going to say that we're somehow healthier if we become both again or something like that. Like I can see it going all kinds of ways, but it's just interesting. The word evolved is in there, and all of this is so ancient. It's just really cool. You can see where all these agendas and things come from.
And that's how we save the world. They're basically exterminating us, humanity, and trying to replace us with androgynes. The secret doctrine is basically like the Bible of the United Nations. In fact, the United Nations was founded to implement the plan. And this race of androgynes is basically like a new species, but they believe it's the original superior species of humanity. And the book, The Secret Doctrine, is all about evolution. And also the 3 books by Yuval Noah Harari from the Hebrew University and a member of the World Economic Forum. His whole thesis is also that human beings are evolving and that there will be a new species of humanity soon. Now, I think there already is. We are basically living together with another species of humanity at the same time. And we have a pretty good idea of who they are and what they're doing. You can call them hybrids or Nephilim or androgynes, whatever you want to call them. Aliens, demons, but they are in human form, but they're not like us. They're not humans like us. So it seems like they want to exterminate us, possibly subjugate us, vaccinate us, castrate us. So the way of water is the way of the androgyne. The main actor is an androgyne named Zoe, which is life. And it's all in the secret doctrine, and the secret doctrine is really just repackaged Kabbalah, and Kabbalah is just ancient Babylonian mysticism from the pre-flood world, which resulted in judgment, and it will result in judgment again, which I believe has already begun. That's why we have a plague. The plague, the pestilence, has been injected into the unrighteous. So judgment has begun, and the second Exodus is coming soon.
I'm typing something out, but I guess I'll just say it out loud because it's hard to type on this other device I'm using. But Chris said, now watch, Prideless is going to become a master of identifying features on people, or at least she will be hypercritical of people's features. This film is kind of disturbing. And I wanted to say, I think it was like, I don't know, probably more than a month ago, know, I think for some time I was trying to relax, and for several weeks I was trying not to look at people's true sex because I was just so overwhelmed with everything going on in the world. I just kind of wanted to zone out for a while, and I think that might have made me come into agreement with the deception, because I noticed it was hard for me to tell who was who and what was what. And I was like, well, is that a trainee? I know they must be. They're a celebrity, but they look so female. And it just became really difficult for me to tell. And I was like, I'm usually so good at this. What's going on? And so I was watching some more transvestigation videos, and then I said a prayer, and I think my prayer was, Heavenly Father, help me to see through the deception, help me to see the true sex of people, or something like that. I know I asked him to help me see through the deception in the name of Jesus Christ. And ever since then, I feel like, I don't know, like my eyes are just more open to it now. And I'm noticing a lot more, and I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, what was it I was going to do next? Oh yeah. I think this video made me cry, and I don't know. I really like this video from Starlight. Horrifying. This music makes me think of the Gremlins movie. I also wanted to say, people will wonder how the transgenderism thing has gone on for so long and been so convincing, because people don't think the technology is in that place yet, or I mean, was in that place back then. But another thing that I don't think people are thinking about is that they can use witchcraft to transition. It doesn't always have to be hormones or whatever. Although I do think that they're using mare urine and stallion urine to transition from the womb. So that, I believe, has been going on for thousands of years, but still they can use their witchcraft to transition. I think I shared a testimony like maybe over a year ago of this woman. She said, she used to be transgender. She thought she was supposed to be a man. And she wasn't even dabbling in witchcraft, but the demons were growing a beard on her. She wasn't taking hormones or anything. It was just the demons alone growing a beard for her. So, I mean, I can't imagine how much you can transition if you actually did do the witchcraft involved to transition, So that's something I think people should think about. Anyway, it's hard for me to, walk and talk at the same time. I'm sorry. I think this is what I wanted to see next. I have like, you know, a lot of other videos and documentaries to watch, but trying to get my sleeping schedule back on track, and I don't know if I'm going to have the energy for that either. Well, actually, before I play this next documentary, I'm going to play these two videos. This is a biological male. Crazy stuff, man.
Now, maybe some of y'all have seen this video. Maybe you haven't. This is what you call a trans person, okay? And they are at this mall to go, and this person went to go speak to a group of black males, not white males, black males, for them to rate her or him, either way, to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, right? First off, this is my problem with these transformers. Why are y'all doing this? Why are y'all going up to groups of men, trying to get them to rate you? Now, again, I'm going to put this in better context. When they walk up to when this person walks up to these guys, they're not going to tell them that they're trans until after they rate them from a scale of 1. Now, one of the dudes, I think he could see it from the voice. Now, this person has had work done, you could tell. So these guys might be looking at the bottom. But one person was like, nah, she's a 3, right? He was mad about that. Misgendering him was mad about this. So he was mad about this. And I just want to know, why are y'all doing this? Why are y'all walking up to men, asking them to rate you if you weren't trans? What is the point of this? Straight men are not going to sleep with you. Now listen. Now, are there men who are probably sleeping with these transformers? Probably so. But they're not straight. Why are you trying to get men who have no interest in trans people? Why are you trying to gauge their interest? Shouldn't you be dealing with men who find trans women attractive? And let me tell y'all, the voice is a dead giveaway. Let's get into this. Make sure y'all like the stream.
Hey y'all, we're about to go into something small, and I'm gonna ask you to rate me 1 to 10. We'll never get our other ones.
See, black men, black men, these transformers think that because they get a BBL, that all of a sudden.
So I was just looking to meet the right person. I thought she was really beautiful.
And they're attractive. And that they can hide amongst women. Now, this is in Atlanta. This is in Atlanta. This ain't in like the Midwest or other southern places. But why are these trans people so comfortable walking up to men like this? I don't understand it. Why don't you deal with men that actually find you attractive? Why are you out here trying to make these men feel bad for not being attracted to you? What?
I just want to point something out. Hold on. Coming over that. I feel like I need to be singing in a church with the way that I'm dressed in my choir clothes. Okay. Look at that waist. You see that waist? Goes straight up and down. No waist indent. And it goes straight out because that is a fake hip. Don't look at the eyes. Look at how wide the shoulders are. And look, their hip bone would be like right here. But their shoulder goes all the way out to there. And look, I got something on the screen, so look how high up their cheekbones are, too. Not feminine at all. I don't know what's going on with that crotch. I'm not even going to talk about that. Okay. It just bothers me. These people are so gross.
Why are you trying to make them feel bad? Why are you trying to shame them into finding you attractive? This is the problem that people have with you, is that you're trying to shame people into finding you attractive. Just because you get a BBL means nothing.
That X-Man is going to meet her. His days of future past if they keep playing.
Appreciate that, Pink Unicorn.
Let's see what they say. Let's go.
Now look at the dude on the end. He said 3. Should be like 0, but like they didn't tell them that they're trans, but he could sense it. Because I know he heard that voice like, oh no, oh no.
Okay. Okay. What is Kelly
Now see that question, would it still be 9 if they were trans? Why are you playing these games? What is with this? You have a lot of men out here who will get very violent if you're playing with them like this. Why are you trying to, what is this, like a self-esteem boost? Yeah, that's why he said 3. Oh. He said no. What's funny is that you're a grown man out here trying to find interest from other men who you're not attracted to.
When I was transgender, the term gender euphoria did not exist. The only thing you were supposed to feel was misery until you got your surgery or whatever. I think it's called gender dysphoria. I always get gender dysphoria, or no, body dysphoria and body dysmorphia mixed up, because I know that one is for eating disorders, like when you have anorexia or whatever, and then the other's when you're trans, and I always get them mixed up. But you're supposed to feel one of those. And then just recently, like the last couple years or less, I think I've been hearing people saying gender euphoria. Euphoria is what you feel like when you're about to have an orgasm, or you're like high on drugs or something. Euphoria is when you're going to Disney World for the first time at 5 years old. Like, it's a great feeling. I had never heard of that before. And at first I thought people were just idiots, and I'm like, that's not what it's called. It's called gender or body dysphoria or body dysmorphia or whatever. But apparently this is a term people are coming up with when you feel so satisfied and I feel so validated in my body and my gender. Oh my gosh, you know? And this dude, this creepy dude on the screen, he's getting his gender euphoria when he's doing stuff like this. He feels validated. He's going out pretending to be something he's not, and he feels like he's succeeded in that whenever somebody's like, oh yeah, you're a 9 out of 10, you're an 8 out of 10, you're so womanly. And in his mind, he's like, ha ha ha, I tricked them. They think I'm a woman. And it just feels so euphoric for him. It's disgusting. They're just pushing their fetish onto everybody else. It used to be people were ashamed, which they were supposed to be ashamed. Therefore, they would do everything behind closed doors. If a man wanted to put on woman's lingerie, he would do it in his basement at home, and he would pray that no one saw what he was doing, you know? But nowadays, they proudly go out about. I mean, today I saw something so disgusting. It was a pride parade, and they had like a float going on. I'm tempted to show you, but I mean, it's so terrible. I don't really want to show anybody. I don't want to see it again. But this dude was practically naked. Like, I mean, his full butt cheeks were out. He was basically in a thong and wearing like this leather strappy stuff. And this other guy had all these whips, and he was just whipping him and spanking him on this float as they were going down the street with a bunch of people behind them too in the float on their pride parade thing, and there was children and stuff all around. I mean, people basically having sex out in public. I mean, it was like Game of Thrones or something. I couldn't believe it. It was so crazy. My mind is blown. I mean, if Jesus came tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry. I just get so passionate and so angry.
What's funny is that you're a grown man out here trying to find interest from other men who are not attracted to you. It don't matter if you got the surgery. It don't matter if you're taking the hormones. You are out here making a fool of yourself. You're making a fool of yourself. That's why they're laughing at you, because you're making a fool of yourself.
You had some pointy knees as well. Oops, I pushed the wrong thing. Sorry. I thought this was good too.
If you are in therapy, you're probably wasting your time. Worse, you're probably doing yourself more harm than good. That's the case that I want to make today in this segment. But first, let's establish some necessary background to begin with.
I really do believe Daily Wire is controlled opposition. I wouldn't be surprised if every one of these people are trannies. But I do believe they are controlled opposition. And it's like they all kind of work their own angle. Like Brett Cooper encourages people to find God, but never says what the God is, but talks about vision boards and yoga and other satanic stuff that he or she does. Matt Walsh claims to be Catholic, but rarely talks about God or any spiritual solutions through Jesus Christ. Michael Knowles, out of all of them, Michael Knowles is my favorite, but I mean, because I know they're all controlled opposition, I've really distanced myself, but Michael Knowles seems to be the most spiritual of them all and talk about, yeah, well, that's demonic and people are demon possessed and you need Jesus and you got to pray and stuff like that, you know, really getting to the root of the problem. But anyway, I thought this video was interesting talking about therapy because I'm very against therapy, but I will say that instead of going to a therapist most of the time, I mean, you know, I feel like maybe seeing a therapist or a counselor for a short amount of time, like, you know, 1 or 2 or a few sessions for a temporary issue, I think that might be okay depending on what it is, especially if you see a Christian counselor, because there's no point in seeing someone if they're not a Christian and they're not successful in what they're doing. But I'm very against it as a whole, especially people who want to go year after year and just basically have their therapist be a friend that they're paying to listen. You know, it's like, why don't you just have someone you can vent to? Even, you know, like sometimes I don't have anyone to talk to. Sometimes I'll just make a video and rant online rather than, you know, have some government employee track down all of my information. But I will say you should go to Jesus Christ instead of man and relying on therapy. So anyway.
That starts with this. Recently, The Hill published a report telling us what we already know, which is that
I'm going to play this and then a documentary on Disneyland or Disney World.
Americans love going to therapy. According to the outlet, quote, the number of Americans seeking mental health treatment is almost twice as high as it was 2 decades ago, reflecting a historic recent decline in mental health, but also an increase in virtual care and positive trends of destigmatization. In 2004, just 13% of adults said that they had visited a therapist, psychiatrist, or other mental health professional within the past year, according to Gallup polling. In 2022, that number was up to 23%. Now, to put this in perspective in terms of raw numbers, if these percentages are accurate, then somewhere around 60 million adults in this country are in therapy. Reading on, quote, a majority of psychologists reported seeing more patients seek help for disorders related to anxiety, depression, or stress in 2020, and again in 2021 and 2022, according to an annual survey from the American Psychological Association. Many health experts link to increased demand to plummeting mental health during the pandemic, which led to spikes in the numbers of Americans reporting depression and anxiety. Some health experts think the numbers tell another story, however, one about the success of teletherapy. Now, it's important to note that success in this sentence doesn't mean that this type of therapy has proven effective at helping people solve their problems. It just means that teletherapy has become more and more common as therapy customers find it easy and convenient to sit in the comfort of their own homes and attend therapy over FaceTime. This is part of what has increased the demand. It's what is driving the increased demand. The article also puts a lot of the blame on COVID. But these are all trends that far predate COVID and FaceTime. In fact, I found an article from the American Psychological Association noting the significant increase in Americans seeking mental health services. And that article was published in 2004. So in 2004, they were already noticing this big increase in people going to therapy. And now we know, compared to 2004, it's doubled since then. The trends become even more evident when you break it down generationally. The Hill notes that as of 2019, which means that all these numbers are higher now, 37% of Gen Z had received therapy, 35% of millennials, and 26% of Gen Xers. Well, it's clear that something like COVID is a relatively minor factor here. Therapy is becoming more and more popular, generation after generation, and these trends have been observable for decades. Which is interesting when you consider, again, the very first sentence of this article, which says, the number of Americans seeking mental health treatment is almost twice as high as it was 2 decades ago, reflecting a historic recent decline in mental health. Not just the Hill noticing this either. I mean, the rest of the media, along with our public health authorities, also insist that mental health is declining at a historic rate. Well, that's a funny thing, isn't it? Correlation doesn't always mean causation, but still, the correlation here is hard to ignore. Over the decades, we're told mental health is getting worse and worse, even though more and more people are going to therapy. Each year, more people go to therapy, and yet the problem only gets worse. There's a bit of a chicken and egg conundrum here, of course. Maybe more people are going to therapy because mental health is allegedly so bad, you could always argue. But even then, if therapy works, if all of the collective billions that Americans have spent on therapy was actually money well spent, then shouldn't we see those benefits manifest themselves in the culture at some point? Instead, we just see more and more people going to therapy, while all the problems therapy is supposed to fix only continue to get worse and worse, year after year after year after year. Just to use a quick football analogy, shortly after the end of the 2022 season, the Baltimore Ravens fired their strength and conditioning coach by the name of Steve Saunders. He had been in that job for several years, and each year under his tenure, it seemed as though players were getting injured at an unusually high rate, and the problem only got worse over time. A rash of injuries plagued the Ravens every year. Now, you might argue that if players are getting injured a lot, that's all the more reason to not fire your strength and conditioning coach. He's got a lot of work to do. There's all the more reason why we need him. Just let him do his work. But of course, the trend indicates that whatever Steve Saunders was doing to help prevent injuries wasn't working. If you have a good strength and conditioning coach, you should find that player health and fitness is trending up. If it trends down year after year, it probably means that you need to seriously revamp your strength and conditioning department and fire the people in charge of it. So a similar point can be made about the people tasked with ensuring that the mental strength and conditioning of Americans. We have seen nothing but decline in that area, decade upon decade, which probably means that a whole lot of people in the mental health industry should be fired. On a macro societal level, there simply is no reason to believe that most of these people are doing us any good at all. On the micro level, you can see this as well. It's not a coincidence that many of the worst and most dysfunctional people you'll ever meet have been in therapy for years. Now, there's no sign that it's doing them any good, that it's prompting any improvements, but they keep at it. You know, it reminds you of a morbidly obese person who's been seeing a dietitian for 15 years. Something just isn't working here. Now, you see the morbidly obese person and you find out they're seeing a dietitian, you say, well, that's good. That's the kind of person who needs a dietitian. But then you hear, oh, I've been going to this guy for 15 years. Okay, unless you started at 7,000 pounds and now you're down to 300, unless that's the case, then clearly there's a problem with the dietitian. Something's not working here. With everything going on in the world right now, you could really use a good night's sleep. I know the .com/wall score call 844-ROUGH-700 today. Yesterday on the members block, we watched this video of a twice divorced woman explaining why none of the bad things in her life are her fault. Let's watch that again.
Things I stopped and went after my divorce. People who judge me based off of my choices. Oh, you would never get a divorce no matter what? Cool. Well, I've had two. You will.
Oh, I don't think that has to do with. I don't think that has to do with therapy.
It's not with the name.
Okay. I'm going to do this one, y'all. I haven't seen this one.
1939 is finding that the public has new ideas of entertainment. Richly has it rewarded Walt Disney, whose Snow White shattered traditions and box office records of this
Once upon a time, Disney was once the family network, the family studio. If there was a Disney movie, you knew it was going to be safe for children.
Disneyland is a delight for all youngsters.
You know, when I was a kid, everybody looked forward to Sunday evenings and Disney.
Disney was the #1 wholesome family values entertainment brand in the world.
I felt that there should be something built, some kind of an amusement enterprise built where the parents and the children could have fun together. So that's how Disneyland started.
One of the strongest brands ever in the world of entertainment. They threw it all away, deliberately.
Disney's brand has been changed, it's been altered. They've gotten very aggressive in the political space, talking about issues, Florida legislation, very vocal about. They talked about presidential politics.
It seems these days, everyone has an opinion about Disney.
We're not happy about the fact they're trying to groom our children with things like the gay agenda. We don't believe that little children need to know issues like that at their small age.
You don't usually hear the words Disney and warning in the same sentence. Well, until now.
Do you think that Disney should stay out of politics, or do you think that they should just be making movies and parks that are fun and entertaining?
Yeah, they should definitely stay out of politics. Just stick to movies, entertainment.
Well, the happiest place on earth now becoming the most scrutinized on earth as Disney World pushes progressive politics.
Disney is no longer a trusted brand. It's squandered that trust.
Today, it's the anti-family network. It's the anti-family studio.
I'm Mercedes Schlapp. Join me as we enter the gates of today's Disney, where children's TV shows, movies, and characters are served with a side of sexuality and gender ideology. A place that puts a political agenda on a pedestal and renders parents powerless. So let's take a look at what's become of the largest media conglomerate in the world. There's something disturbing lurking in the Magic Kingdom these days. It's turning the place where dreams are made into something of a nightmare. The world's leading family entertainment company is now cozying up to the Chinese government. While back at home, they're siding against parents and pushing elementary schools to discuss sexual orientation and gender identity with kids as young as kindergarten. When Disney joined LGBTQ activists against parents' rights in their children's education, it had many Disney fans asking, why didn't they take a page from Frozen and just let it go?
Yeah, I worked for Disney for about 15 years. In March, here in Florida, our state legislature started pushing for a parental rights and education bill. Initially, the company said, hey, we're not going to get involved. But then there's a small group of employees in our company that said, hey, we want you to get involved.
Outside the iconic Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. Today, dozens of Disney employees walked off the job.
Well, I think what happened with Disney was that the CEO got bullied by his very activist, radical employees.
Disney CEO Bob Chapek is reversing course today, now speaking out against Florida's parental rights and education legislation, dubbed by opponents as the Don't Say Gay bill.
And they lied about it. They said it was the Don't Say Gay bill. Nothing to do with Don't Say Gay at all. Nothing to do with that. That was a lie.
The bill is very innocuous. It's family friendly. You don't want to be involved in telling little kids about questioning their sexuality and transgenderism in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade. What's going on here?
And that's exactly what the elected representatives of Florida did. They began to address the indoctrination in the classroom. We're talking about children as young as 5 being exposed to topics, quite frankly, that many of us didn't hear about until we were teenagers. And they're being forced, rather than teaching them their ABCs and how to tie their shoes, we're teaching them how to select their gender. This is absurd.
When schools were closed during the COVID lockdowns and children turned to online learning, many parents were shocked to find out what schools were pushing in the classroom.
And these are little kids. They don't really need to know about, you know, 1,000 different genders and gender fluidity and so on. So it was a very...
I don't know if you guys heard about this recently, but a teacher was asking these little children, I don't know how old they were, if they were like 7 years old, 10 years old, or something like that. But they had them do an assignment where they were being pushed to describe what sexual acts they would perform on which students, which classmates. So it's like, little Timmy, would you do anal with little Susie over there? I need a report or else you're going to flunk the class. Like, it was sick. That's what they're doing in schools now. No wonder everyone's a moron. What are they even learning? You know, when I was going to school, and I say this all the time, it was like the teachers had maybe 20 seconds to spare, and then they had to move on to the next thing because they were so busy trying to teach you so much so quickly. And it was like we were constantly learning something new. If I fell behind on something, the teacher would help me for maybe 25 seconds tops, and then be like, okay, well, Susie Q is going to help you with that because I got to teach the rest of the class. You know, they were so busy, and you didn't know anything about them. You didn't know the teacher's name, their first name. You didn't know if they were married, if they had children usually. And if you ran into them outside of school, it was like the Twilight Zone. It felt so weird running into them at the grocery store. Nowadays, everything's flipped over. Apparently, no one's being taught anything. Teachers have all the time in the world, and they're wasting time talking about their personal lives. You know, I'm still in my 20s. I'm 26 years old. I haven't been out of school that long. And I already can't imagine what it's like to go to school nowadays. It really freaks me out thinking about it. I mean, it's just awful.
Very mild pushback on this encroachment into children's education. And the activists just went nuts.
Not willing to just let kids be kids. They have a goal, they have an agenda, and they want to put into the heads of kids, if you think you're a boy, you may be one, but you may not be one. Same thing with the girls. And if you have any doubts, it's good to question it.
The reason you see gender dysphoria rates now skyrocket is in part because kids are impressionable. They are going to respond to their adults and their cultural leaders in their schools. And so it's no surprise that we are creating the very problem that supposedly the company Disney were aiming to solve.
And it's much worse than that because, as we know, in these elementary schools, they're taking kindergartners and first graders, teaching them that they're gender fluid, encouraging them to be chemically castrated, to have puberty blockers, pre-puberty kids, to live their lives forever. This is an atrocity against children, and Disney has allowed itself to become part of it. It's more than Disney being anti-parent. It is Disney being anti the nuclear family. And so when a parental rights bill comes forward that says parents have rights, families have rights, well, they don't believe parents have rights. They don't believe in the nuclear family. They see the nuclear family as a threat to them. A nuclear family that is structured, that follows, believes in God. That is not just offensive, that's threatening to them. The vast majority of the gay community is not behind this crap. This is an activist way. You know, I often think that cultural Marxism is for mediocre people, mediocre minds. The world is very simple if you just think in terms of races and genders, and you forget individuals and how complicated they are.
And we're talking about little kids. They want them to question their sexuality. They just got off the tricycle.
Listen to actual Disney employees called cast members, and you might begin to see real problems from within the company itself.
There's a lot of employees, people I work with, who are part of the LGBTQ community. And, you know, we have a lot of mutual respect for each other. A lot of them say, hey, I understand what, and actually some of them agree with that teachers should not be talking to kids about this. They made a bigger mistake by not listening to all of its employees, frankly, to most of its customers.
The people who work at Disney, they don't even want this. We've seen the surveys on this.
There was actually a lot of surveys that came out after Disney waddled into this political debate in Florida that said that over 60% of Disney's customers said they disagreed with Disney's decision to wade into this political debate.
And a Washington Post survey found that by more than 2 to 1, registered voters say it is inappropriate for teachers to discuss LGBTQ issues with students in kindergarten through 3rd grade. For students in grades 4 and 5, a majority of 56% say it's inappropriate. The Florida bill simply stated what most parents took for granted. Sex should not be part of a 5, 6, or 7-year-old day. But Disney disagrees. They publicly vowed to fight the parental rights bill and overturn it.
When they take on the governor of their state, a state which has been very beneficial to Disney and the preferences that they have given them, no one hired Disney to shape public policy.
The state does not own the children. The children belong to the parents. The parents, by any survey, don't want it. Okay? So just leave the kids alone.
For Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, this state is governed by the interests of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives.
Ron DeSantis decided that he was going to revoke the special tax privileges that Disney had in Florida. And so that's cost Disney a lot of money, and it's also cost them a great deal in terms of their reputation.
Florida just upped its war with the Walt Disney Company. Big-time lawmakers voted today to strip away special political and financial powers the company has had in Orlando for 55 years.
I think Disney is turning its back on decades of goodwill, decades of brand building, decades of respect and love and admiration from the culture into a political organization. I think it's a terrible move to make, but they seem to be thinking that they have to be an activist organization, that they have to speak out. You know, at the end of the day, if Disney doesn't agree with a rule, a law, a new proposal, who cares? That's not what we want from Disney. We want entertainment, we want value, we want distractions, we want escapism.
But escape is seemingly impossible. From kids programming to ESPN sports, so much is steeped in politics. Here's Disney-owned ESPN commentators Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Peck.
At 3 o'clock minutes ago, our LGBTQIA plus teammates at Disney asked for our solidarity and support, including our company's support, in opposition to the parental rights in education bill in the state of Florida and similar legislation across the United States.
The threat to any human rights is a threat to all human rights.
I mean, somebody who wants to watch a sports game does not want to listen to a political debate.
It's interesting how these different parts of our culture have been weaponized to be more socially aware, to kind of push social justice agendas. And you think, well, sports wouldn't be that, right?
Tonight, you probably thought ESPN stood for Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. Increasingly, it looks like endless, stupid political nagging.
You shouldn't be for or against. That's up to the people when they leave sports. They want to get involved in politics. Yes, get involved. Let sports be sports.
More and more sports fans and Disney fans seemed to be alienated by the company's strong political positions. Many of those featured in this film reached out personally to then Disney CEO Bob Chapek for a simple dialogue.
It's a funny phenomenon we have in corporate America right now. In the name of inclusion, capital I inclusion, we've actually created a culture of exclusion where certain points of view just aren't welcome. In the name of diversity, we have created a culture of conformity where we reject the diversity of thought and diversity in the name of capital D, diversity itself.
To get a first-hand account of that rejection, we asked those who know Disney best.
I work for Disney. I've been with Disney for 30 years.
I worked for Disney for 11 years.
16 years now.
For about 15 years.
Disney employees described to us a disillusioning and fearful workplace.
When I started with Walt Disney, we never treated anybody different. Whether it was a guest, a cast member, I didn't care your sexual preference, your gender identity, it didn't matter because you were either working or you were a guest, and your goal as a cast member is to make the guest experience the best it can possibly be. Over the last few years, I started noticing we're having more and more trainings. How do we be inclusive? How do we include so-and-so into the group more? But it's really only targeting one group. It's not targeting every ethnicity, every gender, every race. It's targeting just the LGBTQ community.
For over half a century, Disney has operated under guiding principles that have steered the company to success. They call them the 4 keys.
The 4 keys: safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency have guided us from the very start. These 4 keys have provided a foundation for our culture, contributing to Disney's legacy of customer service and care.
But in April of 2021, a new key was added.
The addition of a 5th key, the key of inclusion.
Well, it's very clear that the inclusive key is really about the LGBTQ community, but I think at the same time, it's not including everybody. I don't think it's including Christians or conservative people, or in my case, unvaccinated people. They're not feeling included at all. I don't feel included.
When that inclusion key came along, all of a sudden, there were rules for inclusion that if you weren't this, you're out.
We spoke to one ex-Disney employee who is also gay, but the inclusion key didn't work for him either.
I'm a born-again Christian.
He described a disturbing environment, especially over religious exemptions for COVID.
Well, which one is he? Is he born again or is he gay? Can't be both. What the heck?
With vaccines.
Absolutely was discriminated against because of my religion. Disney decided that they wanted to impose a vaccine mandate. When they imposed this mandate on employees, I put in my accommodation from that for religious purposes, and I was now being forced to disclose my religious beliefs to the company from the very beginning.
So it's against his religion to inject stuff into his arm, but it's not against his religion to inject stuff into his butt? But he's gay, and then he said, I'm born again. They didn't say he used to be gay, so I think they're saying he still is gay, but he's like, oh no, you know, I can have a guy hump me all day long, but a vaccine, oh, that's just a step too far now. God won't accept that. What? Am I tripping? Am I wrong? Maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Maybe I'm stupid, but
that made me so uncomfortable.
That's what I'm
It should be
hearing.
my choice as to whether or not I want to share that with somebody. So the fact that I was now being required to disclose that in order to keep my job, I found to be very problematic.
It's exactly not inclusion. It's compliance. And that's the way I felt about it. That for all these years, from all my experiences, it had been inclusionary. And there is now, in fact, a group that is persona non grata. They really don't want that viewpoint. So it's not inclusive.
You're only celebrated as a gay man at Disney, clearly, if you have the right thoughts. You are not celebrated if you are at all conservative or if you are nonconformist in any other way. That's actually in itself a bigoted way of looking at a group of people.
That then creates a culture where non-conforming employees fear for their jobs, have the fear for putting food on the dinner table, may not get that promotion that they were competing for. So what's actually Disney doing is they're using their corporate muscle to move the cultural pendulum in a direction that actually we ostracize anyone who decides that that is not the direction they want to see Disney go.
I can tell you that I've received hundreds of emails, phone calls, and letters from Disney employees, people that work at ESPN, people that work here in Orlando, people that work in Disneyland, people that work in corporate will send me letters saying, thank you for standing up for us. We are the silent majority. I wish I had the courage to speak louder. A lot of them are afraid of losing their jobs.
With a culture of fear spreading among the ranks of many employees, Disney quickly began altering the characters, stories, and park experiences that made them a beloved brand all over the world. Feature movies, cartoons, family rides, TV shows, products, books, characters. Disney's inclusion warriors left no stone unturned.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Big changes coming to Disneyland. Disney is doing away with gendered greetings throughout the park and resort. Gone are ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls. Instead, cast members who recorded messages will use hello, everyone.
Disney's fairy godmothers in training will now be gender neutral, allowing male cast members to do the job. Disney is allowing cast members to have greater flexibility in displaying tattoos, hairstyles, and costume choices.
From introducing burly, manly fairy godmothers to tattooed, purple-haired Cinderellas, Disney was throwing out dress codes, decorum, standards, boundaries, pronouns, and gender. In other words, Walt Disney World was fast becoming Walt Disney Woke.
They dropped the term boys and girls because they're all in to this ideological leftist agenda that deconstructs the family, human sexuality, and ultimately Western civilization.
Who is being offended? Are you denying that there's such a thing as a man and woman? Your sex is assigned at birth. No. Your sex is determined by the father and the father alone. That's not right or wrong. It's nature, and it's nature's God. They know that there is such a thing as nature. And if you talk about nature as Jefferson did, then you talk about nature's God. And that's the one thing that sends chills up the spine of the folks at Disney. They don't want to recognize nature or nature's God.
So Disney was battling parents and politicians, politicizing its park experience and excluding many employees. But what came next was even more disturbing. Whistleblowers from inside the Disney organization leaked internal videos of top Disney executives to journalist Christopher Rufo.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so
Latoya Ravenau is a producer and writer of children's cartoons and programming for Disney. She has worked on such shows as Puppy Pals, Super Monsters, and Rise Up, Sing Out.
I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of it. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and no one would.
Talk show host Tammy Bruce, who is gay, had this to say as a reaction.
We've fought for years to have Americans know that we are not after their children, because we're not. And yet here you have this dynamic that sets into motion this idea that children are the focus. I know lots of gay people. I know plenty of transgender people. No one likes what's going on here. No one in this country, no one on the left or the right. This is not normal, and it's unacceptable. And everyone should reject it for the sake not only of your children, but also for the civil rights gains that gays and lesbians have made in this country.
It's hard to really oversee everything that your child is going to watch. But now Disney Plus is one of those channels where you have to be a little more careful to think about what kind of messages are in that programming. It's not as simple as it used to be.
Instead of portraying the well-loved characters, you know, Aladdin and Little Mermaid and Buzz Lightyear and all the people and the stories and the characters that kids for, you know, generations had loved, they decided that they wanted to do some social engineering. And the result was that, you know, kids are confused, parents are annoyed.
I think everybody has equal rights. Nobody has extra rights. We don't.
And something I haven't noticed, I don't think anyone talking about, although I'm sure plenty of people are talking about it, I just haven't seen it, is every time they do these action Disney remakes, they're taking these cartoons and they're using real people that happen to be trannies, which is just brainwashing children more than they would have been if they stuck with the cartoons, you know? So that really upsets me to know that that's what's going on.
Alter everything just so that we can advocate a particular group. What they've been doing is taking some of their productions and just gratuitously inserting gay characters and gay scenes when it has nothing to do with the story. Just so that they can say, see, we're being sensitive. But who are you being sensitive to? Are you being sensitive to everybody, or are you catering to a particular group?
Excuse me, which of these products would you recommend?
Oh, well, these are the tampons I usually use.
Thank you.
I prefer pads. They're more comfortable for me.
Thank you.
I always get the ones with wings.
Thank you.
Get on septic.
Why on earth do you need to have a transgender character with a very masculine voice in a supermarket asking people for help to find sanitary napkins? Why are you doing that other than to confuse children, to try and inject your, you know, trans agenda into their developing minds? That's not really up to Disney to do. It's up to parents to teach their children about these issues according to their own values.
The new film, Lightyear, tells Buzz Lightyear's history before Toy Story, the movie that first made that character famous. But the new film is causing controversy, and that is your big story tonight at 7.
A day camp was slated to see the movie today, but it was abruptly canceled because of a kiss between two female characters.
Yeah, you know, that same-sex kiss and relationship in the movie got a lot of media play, given all the headlines about Disney in recent months. And this happening as well. I think it did steer some people away from it. This is Disney, this is Pixar. This is a brand that's been very successful. So it was deemed a huge disappointment at the box office.
It tanked. This is not what parents want. I think they believe that, you know, this is a fad with Americans. Yeah, they're concerned right now, but they'll get over it. They'll accept our agenda.
There's a big difference between tolerance and affirmation. Tolerance, yes, of gays and transgender people, we have to have tolerance. But to affirm something, when you get into the questions of behavior,
it seems as if this is a company that does not love children and put children at the center of its universe. It's about adults sort of finding some sort of identity or expression through manipulating children.
That was all too clear as president of Disney Entertainment, Carrie Burke, felt the need to discuss her own children as it related to her job in promoting more LGBTQ Disney stars.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually. One transgender child. and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. Many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads.
Walt Disney must be turning over in his grave to think that he sees now the grooming of little kids to question their own sexuality with this gender affirming nonsense, which leads to all kinds of problems with the teenagers, puberty blockers, chemical castration. Have we all lost our mind?
In fact, Ms. Burke announced that 50%, half of all Disney characters in all movies, shows, and stories will be LGBTQIA, or from underrepresented groups in the future. But it's not up to Disney to teach kids about sex or gender identity. Isn't that the parents' job?
I think people need to step back and ask the question, is Disney a product of the culture, or are they shaping the culture? You see, I think Disney is a part of shaping the culture, where, you know, from the beginning, when we started with Disney and Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse, we now stand at where they're promoting Little Demon and a child of Satan. And that's where Disney has come.
Oh, once she gets to know you, I'm sure she'll jump at the chance to put your breast.
I don't please.
Little Demon is a cartoon series streaming on Disney Plus, centered around the story of Chrissy, a teenage girl who is the Antichrist.
Dude, I've heard of this show, but I don't recall it being on Disney Plus. What more do people need to see? At this point, I think even if they sacrificed a live child, I don't think anyone would blink. People are so desensitized, it's disgusting. Wow.
Little Demon is a cartoon series streaming on Disney Plus, centered around the story of Chrissy, a teenage girl who is the Antichrist. Chrissy's mother, who is a Wiccan, gives birth after mating with Satan.
Remember me, mother?
You know, the human brain is a very, very complex organ system. And it has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen and everything you've ever heard. These things that we are teaching these young children and that we're exposing them to, they're in there. They're going to affect them. They're going to affect who they become and how they think.
The Judeo-Christian concept of man in society and of morality, going back to the Decalogue, to the Ten Commandments, that's been at the heart of Western civilization for 2,000 years. If you don't have the Judeo-Christian idea of morality as the heart of society, it's going to be replaced by something.
The current crop of executives and employees have inherited a great cultural tradition and a trove of beautiful children's shows, and for them to be so arrogant as to step in and decide that from their great enlightened vantage point they know better than all of the people that came before them on whose shoulders they stand is the height of arrogance.
Disney is a company whose mission is to be the world's premier entertainment company. Simple enough. However, Disney has taken on a different social agenda as well, or many different social agendas, to say that that's not enough just to provide entertainment to families and their children and to make money doing it. But that's not enough. That they also need to address other social causes and address other, in their view, social injustices as well.
What do social and political agendas have to do with making money? Disney has always been motivated by the almighty dollar. Why are they getting more involved in political and culture wars that have nothing to do with their core business? Today, major corporations like Disney are becoming increasingly involved in everything from sexual politics to climate change. That pleases huge asset management companies. These companies are using your retirement and investment dollars, not based on profits, but on a company's environmental, social, and governance score. It's something called ESG, and it's big business.
The top shareholders of Disney are three firms, are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. These happen to be three of the largest, I think the three largest passive asset managers in the world that together manage over $20 trillion. That's about the scale of the US GDP in the hands of three firms that are all leaders in the ESG movement.
Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock, which is one of the largest shareholders of the Disney Corporation. Fink is also a big believer in ESG and says the goal of companies is not about providing the best products to make the most money. It's about creating social change.
The purpose of a company, and as we are now raising questions, what is the true purpose of the company? You raise the purpose and its profitability for your shareholders. I think that is evolving and changing.
It absolutely has nothing to do with advancing the interests of stockholders and everything to do with advancing the interests of the ESG proponents who rule like monarchs on top of Disney.
But there is mounting evidence that ESG-based investing is terribly flawed. Despite a strong rating on the ESG scale, Disney's war with legislators in Florida and miserable box office returns were taking their toll. Disney was among the worst performers in the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 2022.
Breaking news tonight, a massive shakeup at Disney.
The stunning development in the business world overnight. Bob Iger is back at the top of Disney. Just 2 years after retiring from a legendary run, he replaces his own successor, Bob Chapek, after the company suffered a disappointing earnings last quarter, and that's not it.
As Disney shares were in a nosedive, the Disney board suddenly replaced the company's CEO. At an employee town hall meeting, new CEO Bob Iger seemed to choose his words carefully when it came to what some referred to as the company's get woke, go broke agenda.
When you tell stories, it's a delicate balance. You're talking to an audience, but it's also important to listen to an audience. It's important to have respect for the people that you're serving, that you're trying to reach, and not have disdain for it. That said, we're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we're not going to try to.
Disney's new CEO seemed to admit the happiest place on earth was no longer willing to make everybody, well, happy.
Stop going to these big franchise movies and stop buying the toys, and they stop going to Disney World. And so you see, it's the old adage of get woke, go broke.
Walt Disney once said, "I believe that the spiritual and intellectual freedom which we Americans enjoy is our greatest cultural blessing. Therefore, it seems to me that the first duty of culture is to defend freedom and resist all tyranny." That celebration of freedom, which embodied so much of Disney's work, stands in jeopardy. Today's Disney is in some dangerous and destructive political positions around the world.
Red China is one of the most oppressive nations on earth. It is also, by the way, an enemy of the United States of America. But if you're Hollywood and you want to make a lot of money and you want to go to that market, all you have to do is genuflect before them and ask them what's the censorship they would like, and then Disney self-censors itself. Then it will turn around in the United States and talk about how it is committed to free expression. The hypocrisy is stunning.
They desperately want to crack the Chinese marketplace. It's a booming market. There are lots and lots of theaters, more opening all the time. And if an American film to China opens and opens big, you're talking millions and millions of dollars. So in order to appease that market, you cut out scenes that are existing in the American films to make sure that the censors aren't angry about them.
When they send their movies over to China, they cut those scenes. When they send their movies to the Middle East, they cut those scenes.
One of the frustrations I have as an entertainment reporter and film critic is that sometimes actors, celebrities, even studios will be very aggressive and they want to use their voice and their clout to send a message to maybe change some things. Yet when the product goes overseas and the overseas countries are committing human rights abuses or conducting cultural experiments, that activism just goes away.
There is drama at Disney over its latest release of Mulan.
In the credits of the film, Disney thanks controversial government agencies in China's Xinjiang province That's where reportedly more than 1 million Muslims are being held in concentration camps.
The Yuga region is where they're slave labor camps, where they're exterminating people. And they're Muslims. You see the hypocrisy. And Disney goes along with it because it's money. There's 1.5 billion Chinese.
What does that actually do? When Disney repeatedly critiques alleged injustice here in the United States, without saying a peep about actual human rights atrocities brought to the contrary, actually lying prostrate in front of their Chinese overlords.
From Hong Kong to South Korea, people were shocked to see an American company so closely aligned with the Chinese government. They called for boycotts among cries for freedom and democracy.
And it is one of the most despicable aspects of the new Disney. And it is this kowtowing to communist China, to totalitarian regimes, jettisoning, American values, and basically aiding and abetting the worst kind of genocide that was going on against the Uyghurs.
So Xi Jinping in China has built a great wall, a great Chinese wall, that says that you can't enter the Chinese market if you criticize the CCP. But here's the dirty little secret. If you critique the United States, we'll roll out the red carpet to you.
As Disney draws attention to past injustices in the United States, they were accused of racially doctoring their own marketing material overseas. Non-white actors in Chinese posters for Star Wars: The Force Awakens were eliminated or diminished. Lead black actor John Boyega was vastly reduced on the poster for China.
Fans of the Star Wars series are complaining that the Chinese poster for the latest film is racist. So let's take a look at why.
Well, it's certainly disturbing that Disney would take a black character off of a poster because it was going to China, and they felt that it was inappropriate for reasons that escape me, quite frankly.
When you think about the poster incident with John Boyega kind of being shrunk or kind of diminished, it should be part of the conversation. And I think if you're Disney and you care about human rights and you care about progress and social justice, and you talk about it in certain arenas, in certain states, with certain legislation, and then you ignore bigger issues, it just shows that there's an inauthenticity that's behind the scenes.
At the same time, Disney has thrown their beloved films under the bus, pulling classic films like Dumbo, Peter Pan, The Aristocats, and Swiss Family Robinson, so that children could not view them from their accounts, and labeling them as offensive. Tinkerbell and Captain Hook, even the Muppets, were called potentially problematic by Disney, as they slapped warning labels on scores of classic films and TV shows.
Well, another cultural icon taking fire. This time it's the one and only Muppet Show. The Disney Plus streaming service has begun offering the series and is including a disclaimer warning of, quote, offensive content.
It's what they're promoting lately that is offensive to people. Since when did the Muppets ever become controversial, except with the elites who work at Disney?
It's just part of this really nauseating trend where the platforms don't trust the audiences to make their own decisions, and that we're so fragile that if we see a cultural moment that doesn't exactly represent where we are today, we'll be afraid, we'll shrink away, we'll do something violent. It's silly.
It's almost hilarious if it wasn't so sad that they are putting stamps on their own great products and saying that this could have some offensive content or this could be racist. You know, if you spend all your time with a microscope trying to find something that will offend somebody, you never have any time to actually spend on creating inspirational material.
Lady and the Tramp contains stereotypes of Asians. Do you see that thing swinging around and around?
When Lady and the Tramp came out, that movie was so extraordinary that generations later, children are watching it. My grandchildren are watching it. But wait a minute, it's a racist movie because of the Siamese cats. It's the left. That was offensive, so out they go.
And that's what a lot of this wokeness does. And it creates conflict where no conflict actually existed. It creates offense where no offense actually existed. Why should you give someone else the power to tell you what you're supposed to be offended by?
A horrible big circus. That's what movie director Tim Burton called working with Disney after his recent remake of Dumbo. The director, who has made many hits for the studio over the decades, said, "My days with Disney are done. I realized that I was Dumbo, that I was working in this horrible big circus, and I needed to escape." Burton went on to label Disney homogenized and consolidated, with less room for different types of things. A far cry from Walt's vision as a place dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that created America.
You know, you have to really kind of go into the Disney inner brain trust to know what they're thinking these days, but it certainly doesn't seem like the Disney of old. The Disney of old was family friendly. They cared about storytelling. They cared about, making it a pleasant experience with good old school lessons and values. I don't see that as exactly the same today. There seems to be a more modern agenda, and I think it's really detached from the brand itself.
I would hope and pray that they would come to their senses and ask themselves, is what we're doing now creating more harmony? Is it creating a better social climate? Is it strengthening families? Is it strengthening communities? And if the answers to those things is no, maybe you need to think it.
But they don't care about that because they're really Satanists at the end of the day. They were saying earlier, oh, Walt Disney is rolling in his grave over this. Walt Disney was probably all for this stuff. Walt Disney was probably a you-know-what-a-phile, if not a tranny altogether. So, sorry, I'm drinking some water. They want to harm. They want to do all of this. They're not as stupid as they seem, or they are stupid, but they're not as clueless as they're trying to make themselves out to be, I guess, if you know what I mean.
And the blogosphere seems to agree. The Disney train is becoming derailed.
Their not secret gay agenda got exposed. They're about to lose the Mickey Mouse trademark this year. All of their sexual, predatory employees are being exposed. They're kind of digging their own grave.
I watched everything up to date so far, and I hope the show can change my mind, and if it does, I'll change my score. But right now, the show is a dud.
Disney launched new LGBTQ pride collection clothing line for kids. Disney said in a statement, "We stand in solidarity with our LGBTQIA+ community everywhere." Curious, are you going to be making this clothing line available in China? I mean, you say everywhere, but...
Polls show Disney's negative perception in the American public has exploded. Disney's approval rating has fallen from 77% last year to just 51% today. NBC released a poll that found only 33% had a positive opinion of Disney. Vast numbers of people who Disney once enchanted are now disenchanted by the House of Mouse.
Of course it's 33.
For now, our ride through Walt's disenchanted kingdom has come to an end. As Disney sows seeds of division by injecting sex, race, and politics into just about everything, will more people turn their back on the once happiest place on earth? There's evidence they already are.
People have gotten offended by a lot of old Disney movies. Have you heard about that at all?
Old Disney movies? Yeah.
Do you think that people should be offended by those things, or do you think people are overreacting a bit?
Probably overreacting a little bit, I would say.
This is the message at the beginning of the movie. It says this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. Is this mean to other cultures? Would this hurt people's feelings because of their culture? No? What about this? Aladdin? No? It's almost like some people are looking to get offended.
Right, they're trying to find a reason to get offended. Yeah.
Do you think that for kids who, want to watch movies and stuff like that for entertainment or fun, do you think it's good to put a political message in there at all?
I think that kids should be little, and they don't really need to focus on political stuff right now. Maybe whenever they're older, but not right now.
I think they should enjoy their time.
Me personally, I wouldn't put anything like that because kids they will understand what's going on in there.
Like this is from Peter Pan. You think that's offensive?
I'm actually Native American. I don't really think it's offensive as long as you don't mean it in an offensive way.
Right. How about this? Does this hurt Native Americans' feelings?
No.
Why does this not offend you as a Native American?
It's getting our culture out there. Like, people are learning about us. They know we're here now. Like, a lot of people, they see Native American, like, whoa, that's so cool. So I think it's a great way to just kind of tell people we're still here.
Do you think that people get offended too easily at things?
Yes,
Why do you say that?
because some things they just overreact to.
It's like this, like the King Louis one in the Jungle Book. People have said that this is stereotypical, like, black guy, and that, it's hurtful to black people. I mean, do you find that offensive to people?
I don't personally. Blacks, we were kind of the architects of a lot of soul music and jazz music and blues and whatnot. And
in a way, it's almost a celebration.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so using that music or that type of archetype, it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Cultures and races, they can be celebrated. You know what I mean?
What do you think Disney could do better?
When we were kids growing up, it was just a different environment. It was just a fun place. There was no politics involved, no ideologies involved.
It was just fun. Like, going to Disney growing up was so much fun, and watching Disney movies was the highlight of my childhood. And now I actually think twice about letting my kids watch certain things.
Is this mean to women?
Yes.
Yes? Why is it mean to women?
They want to be a mermaid, but nobody can be a mermaid in real life.
That's true. It's mermaid phobic.
Okay, I think I'll do one more, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. I think it was this video.
All right, today we're going to talk about horses and transhumanism and how horses are used for transhumanism.
Oh, and see, I was talking about horses earlier and how they use the natural hormones from the mare or the stallion, the horse, to transition these people from within the womb. And what do you know? We're talking about the same kind of deal.
All right, today we're going to talk about horses
It's more modernized.
and transhumanism and how horses are used for transhumanism. It's been going on a while. I got this from a supporter of the channel. Some scientific information here from the Chemical and Engineering News. Premarin, and that stands for pregnant mare urine. One of the pioneering hormone-based drugs is Premarin, a complex mix of more than 30 estrogen compounds used for hormone replacement therapy. So this is part of the pharmacia. Right here it says Premarin was the top-selling prescription drug in the U.S., sold by Wyeth Pharmacia. So originally this was used as a hormone replacement therapy to treat symptoms associated with menopause, sold to women. And then eventually men started using pregnant mare urine to transition into androgynes. So it goes back to the 1940s. Given that horses produce a lot more urine than people do, the end result was a process to extract estrogens from horse urine, which gave birth to Premarin as a new product.
Premarin is derived from pregnant mare's urine, or PMU. PMU farms are located in Canada. Horses are confined in narrow stalls and strapped to urine collection devices for about half of their 11-month.
Can you believe this crap? You know, it's just amazing the stuff you don't know about, and when you do learn, blows your mind.
Pregnancy.
Just so happens that the Prime Minister of Finland's last name is Marin. Sanna Marin, Mayor Urin, became Prime Minister of Finland at 34 years of age. And it looks to me like this person's been ingesting some pregnant mare urine. 34-year-old women don't become Prime Minister unless they're actually a man. Something strange going on here. Proportionally, it's out of whack. The widest part of the body is way down below the crotch. So those are not hips. The hips are not there. The hips should be up here, but there are none. And you have the shoulders are actually wider than the hips. See, shoulders, hips are here. Then you have probably some hip pads, or it could be fat injections, but it's kind of in the wrong place. Could even be photoshopping. Kind of get that Portman look, or even the Demi Moore look. Yeah, the big skull, painted skull. It's a horse face. So look at that. See, skin and bones. Looks like a tiny person because it's about the same height as this tiny person, unless one of them is standing on a box. Look at how tiny that little body is, though. There's no body fat, but there's no female hips, and then covering up the hips and those long, bony arms. Conversely, this one has more body fat. Could be injecting testosterone to try to look more masculine. You see a lot of actors who have this kind of look. This is the one where the party videos got leaked. So,
And I have to say this, I know that this isn't really on topic that much, but every time I see Ellen Page or whatever, Ellen Page, I have to say this because it really irritates me. Oh, my phone's gonna die soon. Anyway, before Ellen Page supposedly came out as transgender, I want to say it could have been a year or more before that. It got really big in the transvestigation community. I'm sorry I'm not speaking very well, I'm tired. It got well known in the transvestigation community, and word was really getting out that Ellen Page is a biological male pretending to be female, lying to everyone about it. And right after that became really big news, then all of a sudden Ellen Page gaslights us all and says, oh, well, I'm transgender. I'm really a biological female who thinks she's a man. You know, so now that Ellen Page is identifying as Elliot Page, if we call him a he, and we're like, but really, that is a man, all the brainwashed people are going to be like, yeah, duh, of course it is. He's trans now. And we're like, no, but he's always been this way. He's not a woman who is identifying as a man. He's been a man all along. And is just a lying, deceiving scumbag. And I would love to be in the same room as any of these people. You know, I wish I could have gotten into the entertainment industry just enough where I could interview some people. I don't want to be in there deep, like be on TV. I mean, I probably wouldn't be allowed to be on TV because I'm a real female. But like, I just wish I could have like some kind of gig where I could interview these people. And I just wish they would, you know? I just wish they would try some kind of crap and I could call them out on it. That would be the best time, you know? Ellen Page being like, oh yeah, well, I found out I was trans and I was really a man in a woman's body 5 years ago. And I'd be like, stop lying. Why are you lying? Quit lying, you know? I would love to see the look on their face when they get called out. 100%. Anyway, sorry I'm rambling again. I just get so pissed off.
this one likes to party. That's a pretty strange look, if you ask me. There may be some shape-shifting going on here. Yeah, definitely some shape-shifting. So again, that's not, I mean, it just doesn't look right.
You know what I mean? There's the body there, and then the head's like way over there. It's having like some kind of shape-shifting party. Got that Demi Moore look. That's why they always look anorexic, because they're actually men with low body fat. And they're just injecting the Premier in so they look somewhat feminine, actually. See, no one's going to suspect this one. They see that Demi Moore look, right? But it's got that weird face. See, normal women just don't look like this. That's a fake face. You know, we always see kind of the strange looking necks. Now look at that head. See, it's just not right. Small nose. The nose is too small, proportionate to the skull. Angular jaw, prominent brow, ridge. But it looks fake, right? Look at that. Look at how thick that neck is. But how kind of big that head is. Also, it's an artificially created female face. People are getting pretty good at what they do. See, this is a young one. It's like a superhero, right? It's one of the boys. It's all smooth and shiny. Facial feminization surgery, FFS. All right, that's what's going on here. Big bony head, but it's all feminized. Cover a time, the next 100, the 100, right? The 100 survivors on that TV show. As humanity goes extinct, they're going to have 100 androgynes build the new world. And as I've shown many times, the one is the phallus and the circle is the female generative principle. And then when you have the two circles combined, that's also another androgynous symbol. We are the ruling class and we are fooling the people. We are the demonically possessed vessels fooling the masses. Governments around the world controlled by deceiving demons and Satan. So if they are cloning horses, maybe they're also cloning humans. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? They breed people the same way they breed horses, and this is something the ruling class does. So a mare is a female horse, and a stallion is a male horse that has not been gelded or castrated. Ouch. Presence of hormones such as testosterone may give stallions a thicker, crusty neck, as well as a somewhat more muscular physique as compared to female horses known as mares. Now here's somebody named Megan the Stallion. Presence of hormones such as testosterone may give stallions a thicker, crusty neck, as well as a somewhat more muscular physique as compared to female horses known as mares. And it looks as if it may be part seraphim as well. And here's the She-Hulk, the transvestite. It's all coming out in plain sight. Now there's something strange about this one as well. Got this big muscular body with a boyish, almost, dare we say, feminine face. So he wants to be Megan's pet. Ooh, be careful. That's a male body. No, those are not female hips. Men have hips too. Crossing the legs to give the appearance of a female Q angle. But that's just what you call a transvestite. In Hebrew, it's called a kadesh. Very elaborate costumes from another world. And all the people are taking photos. Look at that. This guy's got the orange mask on. They're taking photos of the demigods. Right? The gods, the androgynous gods have come to the red carpet and they're just taking photos. They're idolizing the false gods. Bull horns, right? Bull horns like the rock, isn't it? The bull horns, golden calf. Kind of bending the legs, right? Get that feminine appearance in the hips, bending the legs. This one would feel right at home on RuPaul's Drag Race. He's doing the little sign there, right? Look at how juiced up this guy is, right? That's not real natural development there. So a lot of people think he's actually a tiara. You just got to wonder, like, why would they give this one a name, Megan the Stallion, when it's so obvious? Well, it's all coming out now. See, they're not really hiding. The world has become Sodom, and that's just the way it is. Especially before the Great Judgment. It's all starting to make a little bit of sense. The mare urine made history as the youngest prime minister in the world, and now the male horse makes history as the first rapper on the cover of Transvestites Illustrated. There it is, Megan the Stallion. They're telling you it's a stallion right there. It's a male horse that has not been castrated. All right, there's just too much thickness going on. There's a bit of body fat on this one, but yet it's the mass and the density. Opening eyes, speaking truths, changing minds. Yeah, changing minds. What did AOC just say the other day?
And the people who change what people think are artists and drag queens.
Drag queens change minds. So they're changing minds. That's what they're doing. They're telling us. They're trying to change our mind so we go along with all this stuff. Straight to the pit of hell, to the abyss. There's Osaka, right? Remember that tennis player? Again, male bone structure, worshiping their idols. Oh, there's Beyonce. Now, who's that one there? Beyonce, Carter Knowles, and Blue Ivy. Now, I think Blue Ivy is the son of Beyonce and Beyonce's wife. In fact, it may even be a clone. That looks a lot like. See, a clone is asexual reproduction. Gods reproduce asexually. You know, like Zeus, like, you know, ejaculates, but then some babies come out. You know, that kind of stuff. Beyonce sitting on the horse. Looks kind of like a pale horse, perhaps. Revelation 6:8, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse. Now this is chloros, like chlorophyll, greenish. Usually translated as greenish or pale green. This just says pale horse, and it's associated with death because it says a pale horse and its rider's name was Death. So, is that what they're saying here? Beyonce is the rider. The rider of the pale horse, the name is Death. Beyonce is Death, and Hades followed him. I don't know what Beyonce is trying to tell us here. They were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword and famine. Have we seen any famine lately? I think we are starting to see some famine. And with pestilence. We're finally actually starting to see some real pestilence now that everyone's been injected with poison. So maybe that's what Beyonce's trying to tell us. I don't know. The four horsemen. Beyonce is one of them. In fact, we got the four horsemen in this video now, don't we? I think I just came up with the name for the video. The four horsemen. So we got the pregnant mare, urine. That's the first one. We got the Megan Thee Stallion is the second one. And then now we got Beyonce's in the video. Patti Smith, Horses album cover, right? Horses, simply call the name Horses, as Patti Smith is actually dressed like the man. But maybe Patti has been injecting a little bit of Premarin now and then. Probably could use a little more, in fact. Oh, look at this. Bloom also makes history as the magazine's first transgender cover model of color. Lena Bloom makes history in Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, March of 2021. So why are they putting this in Sports Illustrated? Because that's where, you know, that's the magazine Joe Sixpack reads. Joe Sixpack doesn't know about transgender people, but now he does. Now Joe Sixpack is like, oh, no, she's kind of hot. So this is like...
It breaks my heart to know that, you know, basically every man on earth has been brainwashed and wired to find men attractive, whether he knows it or not. You know, I'm pretty sure just about any guy who's ever had access to television or magazines or anything, I mean, he's probably had a crush on somebody that wasn't actually a female. A lot of guys have posters and stuff on their walls or their ceilings when they're growing up, and they make out with it, or they jerk off to it, or daydream about it, or stare at it, or whatever. Or there's some movie of a girl that's their age growing up that they think is attractive, who's not a girl at all. And, it happens the other way around too. A lot of girls are attracted to what they think are men. And they think Leonardo DiCaprio is a man and he's so sexy, and it's actually a female, and they have no idea. They've been rewired to find women attractive. It's just sick. I think of Playboy magazine. Nothing but dudes in there, and guys didn't have a clue. Just sad. And also Playboy, they were also rewiring people to be pedophiles as well, because there's countless pedophilic articles and comics and stuff. I remember I shared a lot when I still had Instagram. I shared a lot about that on my Instagram story. I remember in particular there was this comic where on the TV it said, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? And it's some creepy dude molesting some little girls on his recliner or something. I mean, it was disgusting. Like, how is that humorous? They were trying to make pedophilia look funny or sexy. And you had, wasn't it Brooke Shields that was in Playboy? Maybe I don't understand, because I've never seen Playboy magazine in person, but I thought that was a magazine guys bought to jerk off to, right? Isn't that a pornography type thing? A pornographic magazine? Why on earth would you have children in the middle of that magazine? Think about it. A man is aroused. He's in the middle of probably masturbating. He turns the page while he's still aroused, and there's a little child right there. A feminized little boy. You don't think that's going to affect that man on some level and change who he is, especially if that happens when he's young? A lot of little boys are exposed to that at a young age. You don't think that's going to affect them? And why there might be so many pedophiles in the world? Anyway, I could go on about that all day. It just bothers me.
Bloom, the first transgender, the first black, looks half Asian as well or something. Trans on the cover of Sports Illustrated, which used to be a magazine that was about sports. It's a tranny porn magazine now at this point. Lana Bloom is the first black and Asian, right? See, it is part Asian, doing the same exact poses as Megan Thee Stallion, who is also in the same magazine. See, the only difference is they say this one is transgendered, but they're all trans. Every woman who's ever been in this magazine has been transgendered, but they're just finally starting to tell us now. You got that above is below mirror image stuff going on, right? The angels in the human body, but it's hairless, right? See how they cross the legs, and they got the wide part of the body is kind of too low down there where they inject the fat.
No woman has to stand like that. They do that because they don't have female hips. When I stand, I can stand any kind of way. I can stand with my legs apart or my ankles together, and I'm still going to have an hourglass figure because I'm a real female, It's just, I keep seeing this pose over and over. I don't think any real women pose like that. Now, I do see some try to, kind of, but not exactly like that. I don't know if that's even possible. I think I heard that it's impossible for women to stand exactly that way because of our skeleton. Or maybe that's only in heels. I can't remember what the rule was.
To give it the curves in the legs, but not up here in the hips. See how it looks like it has curves, but it's all because it's crossing the legs. This is Sports Illustrated, by the way. This is not, tranny porn magazine, although it is, but it's the name of the magazine is Sports Illustrated. All right, I'm going to stop. But again, same thing, crossing the legs, hand on the hips. And then you got the long arms that actually form a kind of like a hexagram, part of a hexagram or something. There's Megan Thee Stallion, who's actually more masculine than the openly transgendered, Sports Illustrated model.
Seriously.
There's a little phallic symbol there for you. Yeah. Now look at how much makeup is just caked on there. You don't even.
If you go to my other channel called My Tranny Alert, I think Meg the Stallion is in a thumbnail where you can see his testicles sticking out of his leotard. His naked testicles, okay? So go to My Tranny Alert, that channel, and I think the video is called Top 10 Female Rappers of All Time. I was just trying to think of a title I could give that was vague and might show up in some zombie's feed or something, but the thumbnail, you see testicles on what is supposed to be a woman. And I think it's Meg the Stallion. If not, it was Cardi B, but I'm pretty sure it's Meg the Stallion. I don't know how people don't see it. I don't know how they don't.
What do you call it? Sports Illustrated model. There's a little phallic symbol there for you. Yeah. Now look at how much makeup is just caked on there. You don't even know what this person looks like, and they got the huge fake boobs. I think we had 3 people making history. We had the Prime Minister making history, the Mayor Urine making history. We had the Stallion making history, the male horse, and now we have the Bloom, Lena Bloom, blooming. The germ is blooming, the seed, the new race of human living amongst us. They, them, they live.
Ever since the world ended, I don't go out as much. The people that I once befriended just don't bother to stay in touch. Things I used to seem so splendid don't really matter much today. It's just as well the world ended. It wasn't working anyway. Ever since the world ended, there's no more black and white. Ever since we all got blended, there's no more reason to fight. Dogmas that we once defended no longer seem worthwhile. Ever since the world ended, I face the future with a smile. Ever since the world ended, face the future with a smile.
So silly. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for spending time with me. I might do another live stream. Maybe. Well, it's Monday now, isn't it? I might do it tonight or maybe next weekend or something. I don't know. Because there's a lot of stuff to share. A lot of things. Anyway, I love you guys. I really appreciate you spending time with me and everything. And my birthday is coming up, and I'm dreading it. Time's going by so fast, man. I can understand how older people don't even know how old they are. You ask them, and they have to start counting. And they're like, oh, let's see, I was born in 75. And it's like, you don't know how old you are? But I'm kind of getting there. I'm already wishy-washy on my memory when it comes to how old I am. And anyway, I love you guys. Keep me in your prayers. Pray that God blesses me financially and brings me my husband before it's too late so I can start my family and have my child or children with me for eternity. And, you know, before it's too late. That's my main goal in life at this point. Love you guys so much. I hope you have a good night. God bless you in the name of Jesus Christ. Bye.